I'm here with my shorts.
Yeah.
Can you guys please turn down the AC? I got my shorts on.
Do you guys have chicken nuggets?
Frankie, you turned into Mike Tyson there for a second.
Yeah, you kind of did. That was weird.
I mean, Mike Tyson talks like a baby, you fucking idiot.
Oh, wait, is that? Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does he not talk like a baby?
Yeah, I was just saying that you sounded like him for a second. I didn't know I was going to.
He's got baby talk.
All right. I was just saying you sounded like Tyson for a second. Jesus.
Foreplay brought to you by Barstool Sports, presented by our very good friends at Chevrolet. Good old Chevy EV, Chevy EVUs, Blazers, Silverados. I saw in a video we posted recently, the boys did a really good job of going through their website and just pulling up photos of a bunch of their cars, and it got me excited. Cars are just exciting. Like well-made, sexy cars are exciting.
I miss car life. I grew up in California where you drive everywhere. Now I don't really use my car all that often, and I miss it. I miss loving my car, going in there, pumping the music up. It's a feeling that it cannot be replicated in the
Trent
city.
and I had a very similar sort of experience to what you're describing when we went to Florida with the Portnoys. Remember that, Trent, Daddy? And
Of course.
we hadn't been in a car in fucking years. We had just been grinding away in the New York HQ for years and years. We went and did the Cousins Retreat where me, Trent, YP went down and stayed with Dave's parents at their Florida condo. And one night at like midnight, we were like, you guys just want to get in the car and go to Taco Bell? And we just drove 10 or 15 minutes to Taco Bell at like midnight because we could. And then on the way home, I'm like, the direct route says it's like 6 minutes away. What do you think? And they're like, let's just not take that route. Let's just drive around. And we just drove around, man. It was great.
It's the best in the winter too, because like now it's like if I want to go out and take a walk or something, it's this whole ordeal. I got to put on all my clothes. Like, no, just get in the car, put the heat up, put the seat warmer on, and cruise.
Right. Since I moved to Long Island, I don't know if we can hear you, Frankie.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, since I moved out to Long Island, I've really regained an appreciation for driving around and listening to music. That's just something that you don't get when you live in the city. And I grew up in Iowa, and that's where we had cars. We drove everywhere, and it was great going to work, going to school. You would just listen to music, and then you kind of lose that when you move into a city like New York. Even like walking to work, I would listen to music, but there's something about driving and listening to music there's just nothing like it.
I think it's the freedom. Sorry, go ahead.
That's how I listen to new albums. It's the best way of doing it. Something about like just driving and not really paying attention to anything else except for driving, and the music comes on. I think a good song that really catches you catches your attention when you're driving. For some reason, I don't know if there's any science behind it, but like you're like, all right, all this other stuff is kind of background noise. I'm driving my car, and then one hits you, and you're like, wow. I'll always remember where I was when I heard that song.
I think it's
the world moving around you, and you
I think it's that movement,
special.
and you're also free to move yourself. Like if you're in the street and you're like kind of like bopping around, then you're a psychopath. But if you're in your car and you're playing little air drums, that's cool.
Rick Rubin was just on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I listened to it, and he was talking about this a very similar thing where Rick was saying that there's something about doing a menial task while listening to music helps you focus on the music, because it's just like you're not totally focused on it. Because if you just sit there, if you're not in a car and you're just sitting listening to music, it can be a bit of a strange experience. But when you're driving, you're doing something, you're a little bit occupied, and you have it going on sort of in the background, and it's an easier way to concentrate.
You guys see this new Chevrolet commercial for the EVs on TV that released? I think it came out like a month ago with Fleetwood Mac. They've got that song everywhere going on, and you hear the little chimes coming in, and then that part where it's like, I fucking love that commercial, man. It has been in my head for like the past 2 weeks. Every single time I see it. It's on Hulu all the time. And I was watching Welcome to Wrexham, which is probably that's the most recommended show that I've gotten from my buddies to watch right now. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. Right? Ryan Reynolds, and it's about that Wrexham football team. It's amazing. It's basically real life Ted Lasso. It's nuts. And every single time that thing goes to a commercial on Hulu, it's just a Chevrolet EV commercial, and I love it. I freaking love it.
Think about the delta between their marketing and advertising that they did for that and how great that is, and then they spend it on us. Like that, like look at the difference in what they're getting.
We've been talking about it for like 3 minutes, though.
We have, but
Well,
that's
also, like, we're gonna go out and get Chevrolets. I don't know how many people that how many people at their TV network go out and actually go and purchase the car. Like, I'm like, when my lease is up, I'm just getting a Chevy.
I'm not saying we're not effective. I think we are proven to be effective. It's just shocking that we are as effective.
I actually have a history with Chevy now that I'm thinking about it. My first car was a 1985 Chevy Caprice, and that thing was a boat. It was a beautiful, beautiful old car, weighed about 4,000 pounds, and it was beautiful. And then my second car after that was a Chevy Cobalt, which I also loved. It's like a smaller 2-door compact car that I love.
The Cobalt's a classic.
Yeah.
I have noticed that, Riggs, though. Like, you're watching Monday Night Football and you'll see ads for Chevy EVs. And I'm like, well, this is definitely part of the same marketing budget. I'm watching it on Monday Night Football.
Like, one person on their team was like, you know what? I'm going to come up with this sick commercial, these EVs with their electric blue and
an agency
involved.
involved.
Can you hear me
Coming around trees and agencies. And the other person was like, I'm going to get a 60-second ad read on the Foreplay Golf podcast where they're going to talk about going to Florida with old people and doing a fucking golf show. So here we are. We're talking about Chevy EVs, Silverado to the Blazer. All kinds of their classic models are now available if you go on their website in the EV and EUV space. So you don't have to be some rich person. You don't have to be it. They got Chevys, EVs now for everyone everywhere. So go check them out. We love Chevy. Great logo. I think I'm going to get it on my golf bag, like I said. Couple administrative notes. Fall merchandise. It's fall. We spoke about it just pre-show, how we're in that transition phase, man. It might be 75 during the day. You wake up, you had your AC on, you wake up, and it's like 51 degrees inside your home or your apartment. Happened to me, what you guys are describing. I woke up, 59 degrees it said on my thermostat, because last night when we went to sleep, it was pretty nice out. I like it to be cool. Set the cool air for 67 degrees in the house. Woke up. Needed the heat. It's fucking absolutely freezing out all of a sudden. We got sweaters. We got Q-zips. We got hoodies. We're wearing a little bit of all of it. New line, store.barstoolsports.com. Go check out some merchandise, baby. The Tiger Swing. This thing gets, of all things I've worn, I would say this gets the second most comments in person, only to the pink Barstool Golf hoodie that we released earlier this year. This gets an outrageous amount of comments, this Tiger progression swing, because it's the year of the Tiger, obviously.
Yeah, the year of the Tiger is incredible. The progression swing is so good. Wait until you see what we have coming out for Christmas. Christmas this year will blow your fucking doors off. I mean, we hit it hard last year. We had a lot of really good designs. Our ugly sweater last year was like the #1 ugly sweater in the Barstool store. It broke all the records. I think this year it's going to be 10 times better. It'll be 10 times even more bought because it's that good. And then I want to talk to you about this thing that I'm wearing right here. It's an Unreal quarter zip. It's a little bit tight fitting. Look at it on the arms. Even if it makes me look athletic. You have to go check out these Unreal quarter zips. Everything about Unreal is just stepping it up right now. They've got those pants in our store. I don't even know if those things are still available. If they are, you're lucky. Like, if you go to our store right now and check out for those Apex pants from Unreal and they're still on the store, you're insanely lucky and you have to buy them now. That's how good they are. I wear them every single day, all the colors.
I'm wearing the Unreal hoodie right now. It's very techy, makes me feel very athletic, kind of look a little bit like an astronaut, which I think is a very cool thing. Mm-hmm. And fall golf is when you can really start dressing, right? Wasn't that like a meme for a little bit?
Yeah,
it's really, yeah. In the summer, what you're going to wear a dry fit or a moisture wicking polo and shorts. In the fall, you got some options. So you layer
Summer's
up.
childish.
Yeah.
You wear mesh shorts and a t-shirt.
If you have like feminine, legs, then yeah, it's
childish. You show up to dinner with like shorts on, like you're like everyone like looking at you like, what are you doing?
If you had like calves that you were proud of, then you would be the most shorts heavy guy in the world.
It's just very childish to me to like walk around in shorts and like
couldn't be me.
It looks like you're walking around like and you just held a balloon and you walked into a restaurant and they're like, "Can you please let the balloon go before you walk in here?" This is
are
like
your parents here with you, or are you?
I'm here with my shorts.
Yeah.
Can you guys please turn down the AC? I got my shorts on.
Do you guys have chicken nuggets?
Frankie, you turned into Mike Tyson there for a second.
Yeah, you kind of did. That was weird. Anyways,
Mike Tyson talks like a baby. You fucking idiot.
Oh wait, is that? Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does he not talk like a baby?
Yeah, I was just saying that you sounded like him for a second. I didn't know I was going to.
He's got baby talk.
All right. I was just saying you sounded like Tyson for a second. Jesus.
It's a little overwhelming to dress in the fall. You got too many options.
A lot of options.
You go from no options, like we said, then you wake up one day, the high's 57, and all of a sudden you've got a million options. You can go crew neck, you can go hoodie. Should I put a vest on? Do I need a jacket? Is it, it's just a little bit overwhelming.
It's called being an adult.
All right.
Choices.
All right.
Frankie's not having this conversation.
Sports.com.
Fall is just the time to be dressed. It's the time to go and get stuff. It's time to go get hoodies and shirt and long sleeves and layer. It's the better time to get dressed in the summer. Summer's just childish.
Store.barstoolsports.com. Go get yourself some fall gear. We got our whole line. And then Breaking 90 returns on Thursday.
Yep. Breaking 90, episode 10, attempt number 9, Rockville links. You got to check it out. Like, the 5th hole is there. Thursday night, please watch. We've taken a little bit of a break because we've been traveling so much. But it felt good to get back at it and get back out there, and you'll have to wait and see what happens.
Can I ask one question?
Well,
Sure.
I just want to say,
go ahead.
I feel like John Tillery's, kind of like career's on the line here. I mean, it's getting close. He lost Ricky. Ricky's playing like the best golf of his life now, and then Trent, you kind of have John Tillery's like reputation is in your hands, and you can go out there and absolutely deliver for him. I feel like you have an opportunity.
How does that fall? I mean, it partially falls on me, but it can't all fall on me. There's the Ricky Fowlers, the Sepp
Running out of
Straka's.
options. I'm saying, like, it's kind of if you.
When's the last time you saw John Tillery? Because I saw him at the President's Cup, and he was like, he can't keep making these videos until he sees me again. Because I saw him once, and 3 months later, he's like, "Oh, Tillery breaking 90." He needs you to see him again.
I know. No, we talked about that. I saw him at the President's Cup as well, and we had a nice long talk about it. And his schedule's crazy, my schedule's crazy. We've talked about this podcast before, where I would love to go down there twice a month. I would love to do that, but it just doesn't seem to be in the cards. And we, like, on the one side of it, I want to improve, and my golf game needs to get better. On the other end of it, we also need to keep putting these videos out. So it's like, yeah, I'd love to go see him, but I can't just not do it forever until I go see him. So we got to keep putting these videos out. And, I hope that his reputation doesn't solely fall on my shoulders, because if so, we both might be looking for new jobs, but I'm going to do my best. That's just all I can do.
Did you hit the first fairway?
No.
Okay.
That's a little sneak peek, but we did. We actually, that people knew that because we went live. We went live on Instagram. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're talking a lot about all this as if Thursday it just doesn't end. Like, I don't know, this conversation is kind of weird to me because this video is coming out on Thursday, and it's like this whole thing could just be over. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what the reputation, I guess, is on the line.
You guys could be selling this pretty good, but I mean, I was there, so it's like it's definitely worth watching on Thursday. It's a very, very fun video. That's all really you can say. It's really hard to promote these things, as I've said since they came out. It's like hard to talk about why you have to watch it or what's going to happen the next time, because you don't know if there's a next time. We know if there's a next time.
They're good videos. They're fun videos. They've always have been. People love them. Obviously, they want me to break 90, but they like them.
That's right.
It's a big night Thursday night. I'm excited. It could be monumental. When you broke 100, I mean, it took over the internet for days.
So Thursday night will be Thursday Night Football, obviously, and the Yankees will be on against the Astros, which will obviously grab a lot of the nation's eyeballs. So I think we'll probably decide on what, like 7 o'clock release, maybe even earlier.
What time is the Yankee game?
7:30.
We'll probably do 7.
I mean, yeah. So around 7 o'clock, look for it. It'll be on our YouTube page. Watch that. It's always a 2 viewing experience. You throw that on your laptop or your phone or your TV, and then you got your other TV getting the Yankee game on. Then it'll be off before Thursday Night Football. So that's just a little scheduling change. It usually goes on at 8, so we're gonna go 7 o'clock.
You gotta have multiple TVs. I gotta become a multiple TV guy. I only got one.
It's good, man. It's a good move. I've got the 3. And it's just good to have options that way. I would highly recommend it.
I don't think Emma would ever stand for that. We only have one seating room because we're living in an apartment, and it's just like that's such a tough sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those issues.
Actively working on.
Really
yes,
me too.
Yeah, I'm actively working on a room. Well, we haven't even started it yet, but like after 6 months of having the house, I've now decided that I want a room that I have like the most TVs in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Sunday in October room. There were so many sports
the most TVs, a ticker, everything. Just I don't want to be able to. If my eye drifts, it's on a screen.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm going to go into this. I'm going to get a setup. I've been inspired by Trent, basically. Trent's got the whole deal, and I know that Trent and I are about equally as handy. So we're not particularly handy. And I don't know anything about TV. How do I know if a TV is better than another? Because I'll go into like Best Buy or something. I feel like the guy's just going to sell me on the most expensive one.
It's going to sound very simple, but I would go by price.
All right.
The most expensive one's expensive for a reason. It's not. I mean, they are brands.
I know, but with like wine, that's not necessarily true. And I know TVs are
because
different
wine
than
like sits around for like hundreds of years, and then it's more expensive or whatever it is. Like they barrel it, the whole thing. It's different than like if a TV's sitting around for a longer time, it doesn't get better in age. It's actually the newer TVs are more expensive.
Right, but I'm saying they might be more expensive just because of a brand name, even if it's not genuinely.
But that's my point. That's my point is that I don't know that there's like a better brand than another. Like LG isn't that much better than Sony, and Sony isn't that much better than I'm trying to think of another Samsung. Like they're all just generic, just electronic brands, and they all happen to make top end TVs in each category. Is my point.
What I would do is try and buoy up one of the guys at Best Buy. I would try and buoy up one of the guys at Best Buy, see if you can sort of break down that external layer of salesmanship and just be like, hey, level with me here, pal. What's the best one for the price?
And I do think that TV seller guys are less devious than, like an oil change guy. I
would hope so.
You know what I mean? They're just going to be like, yeah, this TV it costs this much because it's better than all those other ones. And I do think that's probably the best route to go.
I do think they make commission off of their sales though. That's why they throw a little sticker on when you're checking out. On your receipt.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That makes me a little nervous.
Like we also live in the world of YouTube and shit, where you can go and watch people. They rate these TVs, YouTube channels. That's how I found mine. That's how I found the LG OLED. I mean, this guy legitimately bought every single TV on the market, turned them on, and talked about every single one of them. Why you should get this one, which one has the most reflection if you have sun coming from behind the TV, which one does the best with like blacks and darks, and like if you're watching like a nighttime version of Game of Thrones, like the final episode or that final fight in Game of Thrones, no one could see anything. Like the OLED is better for that because it has better blacks and dark colors and stuff. They have all these reviews on it, so you have to go watch these guys do reviews. I mean, if I got a house, that's all I do is watch YouTube reviews.
If you're looking for an anecdote from someone that you know, me, and you're looking to buy a TV, a big one, I can tell you that my TV is sweet. So if you want,
I feel like everyone's happy with their TV though.
Yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs of like the darks and the, if you look at it from this angle, it looks the same. If you're looking at it from straight on, that type of stuff. I'm very happy with my TV though. So if that's the review you're looking for, I got it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe I'll do the review thing. I'm worried I'm going to do the review thing and then I'm going to have a whole plan. I'm going to walk in there and the guys will be like, yeah, that one's solid, but like, have you seen this one? And then I just cave and I did it all for no reason. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to get into the TV game because I know we're going to be streaming. We're going to be doing video games. The Blues are going to be on. There's sports. It gets dark earlier, the whole deal. I want to have a whole TV set.
LG OLED.
That's yours?
And Trent's.
I have an LG as well.
Who's got the biggest TV?
I'm 65.
I think I'm 65 as well.
77.
He gets to do whatever he wants.
I can do whatever I want. I live by myself.
We have women.
I live women in our lives. I live unattached to anything in this world. I'm floating in space at all times. Oh, there's candy over there. Oh, there's a 77-inch TV over there. Oh, I'm gonna go to bed at whenever. It's personally for me, it's the best way to live.
I had to fight for 65. Emma wanted 50, and I was like, maybe for the bedroom, but I am gonna need a much larger television.
Smaller in the bedroom is better. Yeah.
What are they ruining? What are they rooting for smaller for? What's that?
Because the larger the TV, it sort of like looms over the entire room. So when we're in her room, and this is crazy, but a lot of women I think have this situation. When we first met, the apartment she was living in had no TV in the living situation. She would just watch things on her computer if she wanted to. So going from no TV to a huge TV, it's like when you sit down in our living room, you're going to watch TV. It's just the massive TV is there. So we end up watching sports all the time, and she's not happy about it.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out, actually.
Mm-hmm. Riggs, just get a big fucking TV, man.
Yes.
Huge TV. I mean, yeah, I got to get one bigger than Frankie's. That's my goal. So it's 65.5 inches. We're good.
Yeah, that's fine. I got a 65-inch in 3 rooms. I just need to combine them to a 180-inch.
All right. We're talking sports. Yankees game last night. coming up. Islanders are looking good. I think they're 2-0.
The 2-1. First game was a
2-1.
tough
Oh, yeah,
loss
that's right.
opening night against the Panthers, but they are looking really good. The offense is there. The offense, they're just putting pucks in the net. And I'm not going to say it was the coaching change. A lot of people are already seeing that it might have been the coaching change. Wallstrom was getting benched last year and wasn't being talked to by Barry Trotz. He's got 3 goals in his first 2 games back with the Islanders. He's just a fucking rocket. He's just got a rocket of a wrist shot, which is what we've always needed. So, yeah, and the defense is scoring. It's insane. Defense is putting the puck in the net. That's what I've always asked for.
How do you
Get
go
the
see
puck to
these
the
games
net.
in person?
Game time. Last night I went. I had a whole day yesterday, played golf with Francis Ellis. We played at Deepdale. The place was just the hardest golf course of all time. And then I went straight. I was sitting on the 17th green saying, why am I not going to the Islander game tonight? I know it's the Yankees, but the Yankees game will be probably over by the time the puck dropped. And I went on game time. I got a last minute ticket. I sat center ice at UBS, all because of game time. Me and my buddy Kyle, we went. We had a great time. I ate prosciutto at UBS. I had a plate of prosciutto and grapes. And the Islanders scored 5 goals right in my eyeball.
It's nice. Game time, baby. That's why I was able to go. I saw a bunch of people at the Yankee game last night posting, video stories.
Chaos.
Everybody's hyped up. It was pure chaos, as it should be. NHL is back. If you want to see games this season, you need game time. The Blues, for whatever reason, have only played 1 hockey game up to this point.
That doesn't make any sense.
One?
Yeah, I don't understand. They played Saturday night, and then they had another 2 days off. 3 days off, and they played tonight. They play the Seattle Kraken in Seattle. But I'm like, everyone I'm looking at has played 3 or 4 games, and Blues have played 1 game. It's infuriating. But I'm like, are they not? They're just going to play less games than everybody else if they're playing once a fucking week.
I saw that whoever the Islanders played last night, they've played 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Because they're 0-5.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's crazy.
Anyways, Blues are on the West Coast swing, so I won't be able to go to a game. But when they get into town, when they come out to Arizona, when I go back to St. Louis and they're there, I'll be using Game Time to get to games. Download the Game Time app. Go to the account tab to create a login. Redeem code FORE, F-O-R-E, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. They do it better than anybody. They're the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows. They guarantee the lowest price. They got a great app and interface, which is basically the most important thing. Price, great, sure. They got the lowest price guaranteed. Just a great app and interface where you just go open the app, click, boom, yeah, I'm at the game. I got a great easy Game Time. Use the code FORE, get $20 off your first purchase. Okay. Talking points. I got a couple talking points. We got some. We're going to be playing the Avalanche next week. So I know people we're going a little bit back and forth on the scramble situation. We're talking hockey, game time, sports, whole deal. Colorado Avalanche scramble coming out next week. Just a quick preface, we need a win. The boys need a win. A lot of losing on the scrambles. Just several losses in a row for the 4-man scramble. We're going up against the.
We made a substitute that didn't work. For the first, this is a huge one for Dan. Dan needed to step up. It's like when you get a big free agent and the crowd gets all hyped for the first one, and then now the boos are starting to come in.
Yeah, I'm just going to tease out. Frankie gave me a really good pep talk on the first tee.
He just needed to step up, man. He needed to step up.
We're playing the Colorado Avalanche. They're the defending Stanley Cup champions. We're playing them in Colorado. They showed up in matching outfits 4 hours before the tee time. We just
in the same car.
We need to win. They all came in the same fucking car. They drove to someone's house and carpooled and drove together.
Yes.
We're up against it, man. We're losing. Like Frankie said, the fans are booing us. We gotta win.
Yeah, this is you're acquiring a big free agent. It's it's New York. This is what New York fans do. They get all excited, and then sometimes the limelight's too big for the first game. This is why Zach Greinke said he never wanted to come to the Yankees because he couldn't handle all the stress of New York, of being booed if he didn't do good at his job. If you lose that first game, they're going to be on you. But if you win that second game, it's the greatest thing of all time. So this was a huge matchup for us. We got Gabriel Landeskog, the captain, who's literally bringing in the cup on opening night to the Colorado Avalanche. He was showing it to all the fans one last time. He gave them a farewell tour of the cup that they had achieved and won. It's the coolest shot of all time of them at Ball Arena. And then we've got Devon Taves. Obviously, we've got a huge history with him with the Islanders, and we've all played golf with him. Then we got JT Compher, who is just the nicest dude of all time.
Nicest guy ever. Gentle,
really
soul.
good hockey player. And then arguably the best hockey player in the world, in the universe, is Cale Makar. Nicest guy of all time. Absolute stud. 10-finger baseball grip. can hit the ball a mile. He's just, everything he does is incredible. Trent talked the other day about how Barzell makes defensemen look like they're not moving, and then like Cale Makar does that, but also sends them sliding into like the benches and shit. Like the other day when he broke that guy's ankles, I've never seen a professional defenseman get so embarrassed by a guy on skates. That guy's been skating his entire life, and Makar made him legit slide out of the zones on his back. He slid out of the defensive zone on his back. He was in neutral zone hockey as Makar's going towards the fucking net. That's
if
how
you
good
had
that guy
to
is.
power rank the best players in the NHL right now, where does Cale Makar land?
Like maybe like definitely top 5. I think it's a question of like if you're gonna do a fantasy GM, who would you like start your franchise?
Well, he's like
with?
23, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a defenseman.
He's
But
young and he doesn't have as much of like a. Makar could potentially be number 1 soon, and people might even take him number 1 now. But I feel like he needs a couple more years to really like show that he's gonna be this good consistently, even though he pretty much is. Whereas it's like I don't know how you don't go McDavid right now. I think you have to.
Your mic cut out. It's just you can't say no. You can't go against Connor McDavid. That's a fact. Like at this point, every year he keeps showing up. Like
Can you hear me?
Up like I can hear you guys.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Why did my
This
mic
is
cut
Trent.
out?
No,
Whose
Trent's
mic cut out?
Oh, Trent's mic cut out. Okay.
Yeah, I heard a buzz. Did you guys hear a buzz?
Yeah, I heard a little buzz too. I was wondering what the hell that was. I was all fired up talking hockey.
I
was
think
like
I agree
it
with
was like
that.
the buzzer.
It's really hard to not pick Connor McDavid right now because he just doesn't slow down.
He scores whenever the fuck he wants. I don't know how
Yeah.
you can't defeat that. Trent's getting defeated by his mic right now. So anyways, that's coming out next week. Trent Breaking 90 coming out Thursday. So get fired up. Go on YouTube. Go buy our merchandise. Go do the whole thing. Okay, golf news. The New Yorker came out with a piece. Dan Rappaport came out with a good blog on BarstoolSports.com about the New Yorker piece. I think this the summary is essentially the New Yorker went through for the average human, not necessarily the golf fan, because the golf fan lives this every day. Anybody who lives this podcast or listens to this podcast, who's in any way tapped into golf Twitter and golf Instagram and all that shit, pretty much has seen this play out step by step and knows where we're at. But I think the average sports fan, the average American, the average person reading the New Yorker has probably heard Liv and they've seen some Phil stuff, but they don't really know what the fuck's going on. The New Yorker piece was a very good summary of the entire thing, kind of a recap with a few new nuggets in there. And Dan, what are some of the bigger kind of new nuggets of information that came from this book?
Well, one of the funniest one was that they tried to rent the Augusta National Clubhouse to have a meet and greet with players, which is just, and they were told like that, that's never going to happen. You can't do that. But no, I think the most consequential quote was this guy Majed Al-Saror, who, the way I understand it, is the guy who runs the PIF, which is the public investment fund. That's basically the Saudi money. Is this guy Yasir? Yasir and Majed were high school friends. And Majed is now the head of Golf Saudi, and he's also on the board of Newcastle Football Club, which the Saudis just bought. Majed said, they were asking him about the majors, and he said, right now it seems like the majors are siding with the PGA Tour, and I don't understand why. But if they do, it will make me happy. I will create my own majors for my players. There are two parts of this quote that I think are sort of troubling. Number one is my players. These guys now feel like the guys who have signed with Liv, these are my players, basically. I sort of own them, which is, might just be semantics, but just don't like the way he's conceptualizing that.
Yeah,
the second one is
it's like an owner or GM talking about their team more so than a tour talking about their players, right? That's
totally.
That's
That's totally fair. That's a really good comparison, actually. And golfers are not used to being owned by anybody.
no.
The second one is that I will create my own majors. And this is something that I've talked about publicly in the past. And this is one of the reasons why I think the majors might not go with Liv, why they might actually resist, is because what is stopping the Saudis from saying, fuck the Masters, we're going to have our own Masters. It's going to be down the road. We're going to have a purse that's 10 times what the Masters has. Our winner's going to make $30 million and all of our players are going to play. And that's how a sport dies. When there's no tournaments that everyone agrees are the pinnacle of the sport, that all kids grow up wanting to win, that everyone circles on their calendar, then it becomes meaningless. And again, I don't blame guys for taking the money, but it's a game theory situation here. The individual is going to act in his own best interest, even if it's not in the best interest of the whole. It's sort of like a tragedy of the commons situation. So it's almost like these guys, they want to play nice. They want to be part of the ecosystem. They want to be additive until they don't get their way. And then they say, screw you, we're going to do it our own way. And that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of a position where Liv stops trying to cooperate and stops trying to be a part of this and stops trying to get world ranking points and stops trying to get their guys in the majors and just said, screw it, we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to pay these guys $1 billion and they're going to do it. So it was sort of, they said the quiet part out loud. I suspected that they were thinking that way, but that was the first time that you heard it really explicitly put out loud.
I have a question. What's the difference between what they're doing and then just saying it's a major? Like, I don't like how they just say this one's a major. That's not going to mean anything.
I think what they're
this
saying
podcast
is
a major today. Like,
I think what they're saying is they'll have it the same week and they'll have
Right.
more money and make it go directly against the majors.
Right. So if you do it at the exact same time, then you make people choose, then you're right, Frankie. Like nobody's going to be, people like us are going to be sitting around being like the guy that won the Live event that week won a major championship, but they're going to ruin the Masters basically by saying, like Danny said, they're going to be like, we'll open this to any professional golfer and the winner, we're going to put $100 million purse. The winner's going to get $30 million. Everyone that plays is guaranteed to get $1 million and it's at Sage Valley. And it's April 8th through the 12th. And it's like,
right.
You know what I mean? And then like he's saying, that's sort of like, oh, shit. And now the person that wins the actual Masters that week, it won't be full asterisk. But like if a bunch of guys in the top 20, didn't play because they're down the street because they can make $30 million, it's like that sort of kind of ruins our majors. And I just looked it up real quick. The PIF, which is the fund that we're talking about, that is behind Live, has a $620 billion value. So they're estimated to have $620 billion. So when there's a lot of this chatter about this thing doesn't make money and they're spending $1 billion or they might spend $2 billion on it, they have $620 billion to basically do what they want with. Yes, their ultimate goal is to make money at the end of the day with the fund. That's how it got up to $620 billion. But if they need to spend a couple billion here to like better their reputation so they can make more money with bigger partnerships elsewhere, that's not a problem. And like you're saying, Danny, this guy essentially feeling like I don't give a fuck about, if people are going to have to pick sides, my side's going to be fine. And that comes from, like you just said, him essentially being like, these guys don't understand business. I get business and I have unlimited money behind me. So I will do whatever the hell needs to be done. We will create our own major championships, as they're going to call them. And yeah, it would be really, really, really shitty if they decide to just go up against the Masters, go up against the US Open, go up against the British Open, go up against the PGA. And those tournaments, they can't put out, prize pools, purses that are going to be anywhere near there. That could crush those tournaments.
I've got a little bit of sort of half news. I've been hearing rumors that they're going to have a big tournament opposite the Players this year, which makes a lot of sense because the Players is the PGA Tour's flagship event, but it's starting, right? Like the first year of Live, they were strategic in that they scheduled their tournaments opposite tournaments that weren't that big. So there wasn't a tournament opposite the Players or, it hadn't launched yet, but there wasn't a tournament opposite certain events because they wanted to at least say that we will allow our guys to do both. Well, now with the PGA Tour, the changes in their schedule, there's going to be all these big events throughout the year. They're going to be a lot more events where there's a big PGA Tour event and a big Live event, if that's a thing, happening at the same time. And it's almost like the veil has been taken off. This isn't about being additive to the golf ecosystem. This is a power trip, right? This is wanting the best players to be playing in your league, my players. And if it doesn't work out, then I will create my own majors and we'll create our own little ecosystem. So it just felt like it sort of revealed their intentions a little bit more bluntly than they had in the past.
This is definitely a little bit more of a threatening thing to me than it ever has been. Not like Greg Norman's no longer making these statements. This is just the actual Saudis saying this is what we'll do. It felt very threatening to the PGA Tour where it's like, try us. You know what I mean?
I think it's threatening to the majors too.
Yeah.
Because the majors can't, if they take over the PGA Tour, what's stopping them from taking over the majors? Just tradition and history because they don't have the money.
Right.
Right.
And it's going to fall on the players to just accept the fact that they don't care about money. And in human nature, it's going to be really, really hard to get the majority of people to go with legacy over cash.
It's divide and conquer. That's what they're doing.
That's what I'm saying, where it's like if they had that tournament at Sage Valley, people would play.
100%.
And you understand that. If I was offered a spot in that tournament, I might play. And that's what I'm saying. On the individual level, it makes a ton of sense. But we are not fans of the individual golfer. We are fans of golf as a whole. And so what's in the best interest of the individual might not be, and I think in this case is not in the best interest of the entire golf ecosystem.
Now, is this a bluff that they're hoping Augusta just like lowers their guard and just allows live players to go play in it? Because now my question would be, if he's already put this out there and it sounds like a good idea from a business standpoint, why would he ever now just allow his live players to go play in the Masters? Why wouldn't he just do this Sage Valley thing? Because it's already out there in the world. People are saying, oh yeah, like they're definitely going to get players if that happens. Why wouldn't you just go do that? Why would he want... Do they think that it's going to be better for their league if guys can play in the Masters?
I think it would cross a line with players.
Okay.
I think that was probably, you talked about how much money are in these contracts that you would hope that these lawyers and these agents are really taking a close look. I would think that there's some sort of clause about playing in the major championships because these guys still really want to play in the Masters. Maybe some of them don't, but at least publicly they're saying, if I want to do this and I want to play in the majors are still the majors, and the majors have distanced themselves from the rest of PGA Tour events. We're too close to it, but you ask your buddies, all they watch is the majors. They don't really give a shit about the PGA Tour events. So if you tell the best players in the world that they can't play in the 4 tournaments that the general public cares about, I think that's might cross a line and might lead some guys to being like, what's really going on here? Because I was told that I was going to be able to play in the majors.
Yeah, I feel like the majors allow the live golfers to still feel like they're at some level, a child that's playing for glory and playing for what they grew up playing for. And they're like, yeah, I play on a different league and I make a ton of money and we have a good time. We fly around in private jets. I still compete week in and week out. And then I still have that 4 times a year I get to try to peak and take over the sports world. And if I win, I'm on ESPN and I'm on the Tonight Show and I'm at the Champions Dinner forever. Like they still get to have that, even though we're kind of like constantly talking about how if they sold out, they still have that. Whereas if they don't have that, I think you're probably right, Dan. Like there's going to be some guys and some players that aren't going to care as much. Like I don't know that like Pat Perez is going to give it. He doesn't really get to play in the majors at this point anyways. Like, I don't think he gives a fuck. But the Cam Smiths, players of that kind of caliber, it's like they are going to want to play in the majors. And I think you make a great point, Frankie. It could be a little bit of a bluff. And it could work. It could fucking work. It could cause them, I don't know the Masters as much, but like it could cause the U.S. Open, who, 90% or something of the USGA's annual revenue comes from the U.S. Open. Like they have to have the U.S. Open, needs to continue to be incredibly important and relevant. And if that starts to dwindle or get diminished at all, they're going to be in trouble. And this could easily cause them to be sitting around being like, all right, let's put something out that's going to make it very clear that everyone that should qualify is going to continue to be able to qualify and play in the U.S. Open and get invited if they're top X or whatever, even if they're in live, because we do not want these motherfuckers to go after our entire organization.
Yeah, and to your point before about it makes them feel like a kid, like for glory. Not only that, but I feel like the majors are the only thing that would allow them to feel like they're the top of the world in their sport. Because right now, everything is so equal at live. It's team play. You can finish in last, like Pat Perez, and still make $5 million. Everything's guaranteed. So I feel like that's probably taken a couple of the guys, like they have pride in being the best in the world. Cam Smith, for sure, in some part of his brain is like, I'm the best golfer on the planet, and at least I'll go get to prove that 4 times a year when I go win like the Open again, and I go to Augusta and I win the Masters, and I just like start taking all these trophies from all these other guys. But now if you take that away from them, that for sure is going to just like, you're never going to be able to get stacked up against any sort of ranking system. You're done. Your ranking system is over. There is no ranking.
That's what I'm saying, and that's how a sport dies, because that's what happened with boxing. There was a heavyweight champion, and everyone knew who the heavyweight champion was, and there was one belt, and then all these things started splintering off, and then no one knows which way is up. That's what you're saying. There needs to be a tournament that all the best players in the world play, because then you know who the best players in the world are. If not, then you don't even know which way is up.
We need rankings. I need rankings in PGA Tour 2K23. I want to know who's the number one golfer in the PGA in the Barstool Golf Society. I don't care where it comes from. I honestly don't, and I've never cared about where it comes. I just want who's number one. Who is number one? I'm a stats. I obsess over stats. Last night I just looked at like NHL standings for like 2 hours, just like seeing who won. Like you need who's number one and who's number fucking 32. That's all I care about. And if they get rid of that, that's just going to be the worst thing for everyone. That's the worst thing for LIV. That's the worst thing for the PGA Tour. It's the worst thing for every single golf tour on the planet if there's no number one. Why even play the sport then?
Well, that's kind of the problem that they're dealing with now with the world rankings, because Dustin Johnson's been playing great at LIV. He's down to like 26 in the world. There's not a person on the planet who thinks that there's 25 golfers better than Dustin Johnson.
Right.
And I understand that there's criteria and that it's been laid out. You got to have a number of events, and you have to have this many guys in the field, and there has to be a cut. I get it, but those rules were not created for a tour that has Dustin Johnson and Cameron Smith. We got to figure out a way to incorporate them into the larger ecosystem.
Right. Those like thresholds that you had to hit were created in a world where LIV didn't exist. So it's really not fair to like have those same.
Those rules were created for the Middle Eastern North African tour, and they had to prove their worth to the OWGR to prove that they were worthy of points. This is a totally different case.
No, yeah, this is insane.
Inflation has us all thinking about different ways to cut back, whether it's driving less, dining out less, buying less from the grocery store, traveling less, playing less rounds of golf. Hopefully not, but that could be part of the equation. We can all agree there's nothing fun about less. And that's just true. We talked about TVs, talked about all the kinds of fun stuff that spending money on is fun. When you're cutting back, that's not as fun. That's why I started using Upside. Let me tell you about Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With Upside, I don't have to cut back because I get cash back on every single purchase. To get started, download the free Upside app. Use my promo code, which is Fore, F-O-R-E. Get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying next on Upside. Check in at the business, pay as usual with a credit or a debit card, and get paid. It's that easy. In comparison to credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside, 3 times more. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every single week. All right, so that you could be one of those folks getting part of that money, $1 million a week for Upside users. Download the free Upside app and use promo code FORE to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using, once again, the promo code FORE. What's the promo code, boys and girls?
Fore.
F-O-R-E, FORE. Go check it out. Go download the free Upside app today.
Trent, are you back?
I don't know. Am I?
Yes. Yeah, you are.
Fantastic.
What's going on over there?
Welcome
My
back,
Zoom
Trent.
just kept crashing. I had to restart my computer. The old restart worked. I kept trying to enter, and it was giving me the rainbow wheel, which you never love to see.
Blue on it.
So I was like, I just got to do a hard reset, and I'm back.
Last week here at I had the internet was going out every 15 minutes or so, just like Dave's was on the Dave Portnoy show last week. And I'm so pathetic, and I just kept trying to deal with it and like freaking out that my internet sucked. My brother came and showed up. He's like, "Yeah, I'll just reset it real quick," and he just reset. Now it's just perfect. It's been perfect ever since.
It's amazing how that still works. There's something about it makes me feel like technology is a little bit human, where if you just give it a hard reset, it's like, oh yeah, I remember what I am now. But before,
it's like a good night's sleep.
Right. It's so strange.
I definitely don't know what the reasoning is, but if I had to guess, it's sort of like when we're in the office and Pete has all the Wi-Fi routers set amongst as you walk through the place. Like there's a Wi-Fi router for the editors, there's a Wi-Fi router by the bloggers, and if you walk from the bloggers to the editors, you're still connected to the one that you were connected to when you were sitting down. So you have to like reconnect, and it shoots you a new ping to the one that's right above you, and it's just stronger connection. I feel like in our house sometimes that ping just like gets lost and like caught somewhere. You know what I mean? Like it's connected to something and then it's like stuck on that. And you're like, well, why are you stuck on that? And then that reset is like, okay, we're back to just free roaming. Because if you actually saw the pings of internet, it would be like a visual representation of things being shot out. That's why when those antennas, they tell you to like aim those antennas certain ways. That's legitimately like you're pushing the internet a certain way. You know what I mean? Like that's my interpretation of it. I don't actually know what the science behind it is.
One of the best life hacks I was ever taught was when you have shitty LTE or 4G connection or whatever, that you just put your phone in airplane mode for 15 seconds and then take it off airplane mode. And exactly what you're saying, Frankie, it'll connect to a different tower or whatever.
Yes.
And it works every time. I go from you can't upload a fucking Instagram story to you have perfect connection instantly.
I think this might be illegal.
Move is classic.
This might be illegal because you're not, they say it's illegal because you're on a plane. You're not allowed to use your phone, even though we've talked to a pilot and he says it does literally nothing. But when you're landing, it's really cool to be able to you like go off airplane mode and go on it, and you're just connecting to different towers at like every 2 minutes. Like you can get LTE or 5G like right when you get like when you're coming into Long Island, you're like right when you get over the water, bang, you're fucking on 5G. And then like you'll lose it for a second, you hit airplane mode again, and you hit like Great Neck's tower, and then like you hit fucking Manhasset's tower. It's like it's crazy how many 5G towers you can hit as you come in.
Yeah, I actually never
how many
knew.
you could connect to.
I never knew about the different towers until I was streaming Red Zone on my phone on like the Fios mobile app. And when you go to a new one, it's like your service might be affected because you're pinging a new tower, because it's like depends on where you are locally of what games are blacked out or not. And so I never really thought about that, but you're right. You're pinging. You're constantly pinging.
Funny how just dependent we are on shit just work, right? Like I don't think about towers and fucking science. I'm like, just where are the bars at? Why is my blue thing when I send a text just 75% of the way there and won't send a text? Like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, no, that's actually took years to build towers and get them to work and function, and your phone to understand that it should connect to this one and not that one and not get lost in translation. I'm like, great, just give me a fucking Instagram story that uploads in less than 5 minutes. Please.
And the worst part is, I think I brought this up a couple weeks ago, but whoever that CIA guy is, that old CIA guy that Joe Rogan always has on his show. Mike Baker talks about how we sold all that hardware. We basically bought all that hardware from like a privatized Chinese company, and he puts privatized in quotes, and he's basically saying it's state-owned equipment by China, and they've been putting these pieces of machinery on our cell towers and our information towers, our like internet towers, for like 50 years, because they play the long game of being like, oh yeah, we'll sell this to you at like 25 cents a piece, when like the American made one was like $20 a piece. And everyone's like, yep, I'm like a middle America internet company, I need to go buy it from this Chinese company, it's like the fucking cheap as dirt. And they fucking just get all of their pieces of machinery on our towers, and then one day it's just going to be like, bloop, we turn it off and you're done, your grid is over, or we just take all your information.
Yep, they just own insane. Everything about us, dude.
That's they don't care about like
I think it's instantaneous
like, domination.
Is just taking over America. It's like
they don't care about instantaneous domination. They care about like in 80 years, how are we going to dominate this field of the world where no one else can even come close to us? And they succeed in like a lot of things. I mean, everything you wear, it's crazy. It's fucking nuts. It's honestly one of the more interesting things I've ever like read up on and like learned about. Like, it's a new age domination of the world. It's like you talk about like the Khans and all those Genghis Khan, and like the way he would just go into villages and just murder people. This is like subliminal domination.
It's technological warfare.
It's fucking crazy, man. It's no one even cares. We're talking about pinging towers. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We just want tits and ass on our phone. That's all we want.
It's true, though. Until something actually happens, when they always talk about like the facial recognition stuff, I don't care, right? I mean, I have nothing to hide. And then when it happens, it'll happen.
Bro, Trent's laptop just like stopped working, and like for those 10 minutes his life was probably like, what the fuck is happening? Imagine that happened to the whole country for like a week. Like we just like lost everything. It's just
well, if that ever
your money go in your bank and shit,
it's not gonna make you sleep better at night, but if that ever happens, the world's in such a bad spot that we're about to go to war with China that it's already over.
It's over.
Like if they ever flip the switch that turns off our entire grid, that's an act of war, and everything's already over.
Just you start seeing missiles go in the air. Yeah. Like, well, it's over, dude. It's just like, go fuck your neighbor.
You can't turn off our whole grid. And
it's done. The whole thing's done.
Right. If you're not going to turn off our whole grid and then us to be like, you rascals. It's going to be like, you cannot do that.
It's great. It's a great feeling too to think like of that 80-year plan by China to just basically incept themselves in our digital culture and eventually own us like completely. And we're like, nah, we should be in good shape. We've got like Biden, we got like Mitch McConnell, we got like we're in good shape, man. We got Ted Cruz, like we're fine. We got our front lines are looking good. Like,
total.
China's over there just just dominating us,
right?
Like what top to bottom.
What they have that we don't have is discipline. They have insane discipline. We're just like, I want all this stuff right now. I want it now,
and as cheap as possible. So now, I mean, like they're trying to like change all of this software on these towers, and it's like way too expensive. Like these companies don't want to do it, so now you got to bail out these companies, and like it's taxpayer money, and then you got to get people to approve that. It's a
trying to get
wild
elected
world out
every
there.
fucking 2 years. Every time I turn around, they're like running for election, trying to convince people we're gonna make everything's gonna be the cheapest. We're gonna help you with the economy. They're over there in China. They don't report to shit.
Oh, there's no election. There's no elections. Imagine what our guys. Imagine what our politicians would do if they didn't have to worry about getting reelected because they knew they were going to get reelected with 89% of the vote every single time.
Right. Their president has been a president, but he's now locked himself up to just be the leader for the rest of his life. He's like the first
That's
no term.
That's what Caesar did. Caesar was like, all right, I'm going to have a dictatorship for 10 years. I'm going to put in a 10-year dictatorship. And then at the end of that, because I'm going to push everything through that I want. And and Rome is going to be in a better place. And then at the end of the 10 year, he's like, no, I'm going to bump that up to a lifetime. So I'm just going to stick around and tell you guys, well, we all know what happened, but I'm just going to stick around. And those places like that can do that.
What did happen to Caesar?
I was going to say, I appreciate you giving like a little spoiler warning there, Trent.
What happened with? So what actually happened to Caesar?
Do you guys want the full spoiler? Or what do you want?
Well, does it happen in the Roman Empire show?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would wait.
Okay.
It's more fun to learn.
What season?
The third one.
It's the
all right.
third
So I got
one.
a lot to go. It's a long show.
You
a lot
could
of stuff
watch
happened in Rome.
You could watch the whole just Caesar one because they're pretty independent of each other for the most part.
I see.
Yeah, you don't have to watch them in order. I think first one's Commodus, and then Caesar's second, and then I think Caligula is third.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to watch them in order.
I see.
The Ides of
great
March,
show.
Frankie.
All right, I'm gonna watch it.
Does that phrase mean nothing to you, Frankie? The Ides of March?
Yeah, I mean it's a movie with Ryan Gosling.
It was a good movie about the election, right?
About the election. Yeah,
Great movie.
Yeah.
And I know it has something to do with Caesar, but
It's
I just
also
don't
when you
know.
watch it, you'll be refreshed. You'll be like, "Oh, I've heard this before." I feel like as
Right.
it happens, but it's one of those that just gets
Did
lost.
he get
all the
murdered at an
details.
election?
You'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, just watch.
You're gonna like it. It's fun. It's
Does
really
the guy who plays Caesar
It's
good?
iconic. It's one of the craziest
He's
things that's
good.
ever happened.
Dude, the Caesar story is, dude, he's with Cleopatra, like the fact that it's crazy how just tied up everybody is.
That's a Mount Rushmore power couple of all time.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
I did not know about the Cleopatra part when I was watching it, and then when he goes to Egypt, and you're going to see this isn't a huge thing, and Cleopatra walks in, and the actress they got to play Cleopatra is stunning, stunning. And you're right, Danny. It's a power couple to end all power couple. Caesar and Cleopatra.
That seems fake.
Dude, it is. That's what
You can't just have-
me.
100%.
You can't have the two biggest names of history ever.
Trent, I'm
just
with
be
you. I was
a
like,
couple.
I didn't even know, for whatever reason, I didn't even know. I'm a history guy. I didn't even know they lived within 500 years of each other. Cleopatra and fucking Julius Caesar.
they
And then at one
banged.
point, he just goes to Egypt and just starts banging Cleopatra. And he's like, yeah, I got Egypt now. It's like, oh, fuck, let's go.
And then like 7 months later, or however many, she shows back up to Rome, being like, "Hey, man, I got something for you." It's crazy.
And we
So
sit here and talk
Cleopatra
about how
was in
ridiculous
Rome?
like Game of Thrones is, and we're like, actually, I mean, what actually happened is it's just as nutty. I mean, the guy went to Egypt and just grabbed Cleopatra and started banging her and was like, all right, like who's next? It's like unbelievable.
It is.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I
Speaking of Game of Thrones, I know everyone's caught up at this point. Danny watched it this morning. House of the Dragon. Just a
Morning
fantastic
watch.
show.
How's the morning watch?
Well,
Is
I
it
wanted
different?
to watch it last night, but I wasn't allowed because she's still behind. So I just woke up and watched it first thing in the morning with a cup of iced coffee. It was great. It was great. I had a thought to myself, like, I can't believe this is like sort of work, my job, kind of.
Yeah, because we're about to talk about it.
We're about to talk about it.
We've gotten to the point that I think everyone knew we were going to get to.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't see the the Aegon the Aegon of
Targaryen.
Alicent, like who's now the king. Like I didn't see him not wanting it. I never saw that part coming in. So I am really interested to see this new wrinkle of like what is like Aemon gonna do with his brother.
Right.
Because
But
now
Aegon seemed to like it when they were all
at
clapping
the
for him.
end. Yeah.
Which is never the greatest part of a leader. If you're just super
No.
into, like, you don't want it, and then you see people cheering for you, and you're like, oh, now I want it. That's not a great attribute.
So I was reading on Reddit, like, Aegon has lived his entire life because Viserys would never give him the heir. So he's lived his entire life like not being loved and being like the firstborn son that still didn't get the right to the throne. And then all of a sudden, like as he's been like thrown into this thing, his dad's now dead. So like he doesn't have to worry about that. The world around him is now cheering him for the first time. Like that's the first time he's ever been like felt good about himself. And now that could be a scary, scary thing. I think so. I'll let you guys get your thoughts in, but I think the craziest thing ever that got overlooked, and I had to find this on Reddit, and I didn't really think about it in the real time, is when Viserys dies and says that Aegon's, in his vision, in the vision, like Aegon's the one that's going to take us into the winter, and he's going to be our savior, whatever, that whole thing. You're thinking, obviously, it's Aegon versus Aegon. It's Rhaenyra's Aegon versus Alicent's Aegon. But then you remember, because of Reddit for me, that Jon Snow's real name was Aegon Targaryen. So Viserys clearly just saw in his vision like a Jon Snow defending the realm against the White Walkers. And like that kind of just went right over my head when I was watching this. So this entire battle that's going to happen wasn't even over the right Aegons. It's 200 years later on that a new Aegon's going to come around and be the savior. That to me was really interesting.
Yeah. And it really infuriates me how bad the last season was every time they allude to the White Walkers and the looming, because you're like, it would have been so much better if this truly was the greatest threat ever and it was going to be a problem. And you're like, no, you don't have to worry about that much. They literally, she just holds like a little dagger and a knife, and it just ends the whole thing because she was with like the fucking people.
Remember when
with
he
no eyes,
rose the dead? Remember that scene where he just, where everything was dead, and then he looked across that he looked across like the water and just went like this, and everyone slowly got up. I remember sitting on my couch and standing up being like, what the fuck? It's over.
When he brought the dragon back and they took a chain and brought it out of the fucking frozen lake, and he just brought it back to life, and the last thing you saw was its eyes open and like the blue, and you were like,
I just got the chills.
These guys are such a problem. They got a dragon.
And now we've got, one of the more interesting parts of the last episode was that guy Larys, who is just
he's a beauty. That guy,
freak,
just jerking off to her feet.
That scene was so interesting. They shot it so well. I was like, why is she taking? Why are they focusing so? It was like a Tarantino movie. Like,
why
are
his feet first? Right? They looked at his feet. Yeah,
and they like showed his club foot, and you're like, all right, there's a lot of feet focus in this scene. And then she takes off the I don't even know what those things are called. They're not socks. They're
leggings
leggings or stockings. And you're like, all right, they're really focusing. Oh, she wants to warm her feet up. That's nice. It's probably cold in Westeros right now. And then you slowly start to realize what's happening, and you're like, holy fuck. She is trading information so Larys can jerk off to her feet, and he puts his hand in his pants, and you're like, this show really just goes to places that you don't think, and it's fucking crazy.
Dude, they had child fighting. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like dog fighting is hard to watch. Cockfighting is hard to watch. They had children that they sharpened their nails and sharpen their canines to make them more dangerous.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. But the craziest part about the feet scene was that that's happened tens to 20s of times, because she knew immediately what the process was. Like, there were no words exchanged. There were no head movements. It was like, if I'm going to get this next piece of information, I know from history that I have to take my one piece of garment around my feet off. And then the next one, I have to show my toes. And then to finish it off, I have to like sit sideways and like have him see like ankle and foot. That guy's that guy's a lunatic.
We don't kink shame on this show, but something about that agreement, it just feels really off. You know what I mean? It's a lot off. And you're right, Frankie, because I think since the last time we saw Larys and Alicent really exchanging information was before the time jump. So in between time jumps, at some point, Larys was like, I got to see those feetsies if we're going to keep doing this. And it just keeps happening now. It's probably happened 50 times between the two.
100 times. 100 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's the only one that gets things done for her. Like he's this like crazy slithering snake in the darkness that he's I don't know what the hell.
Alicent, I will say, is emerging as kind of a sympathetic figure.
I'm in love with her.
She just like she's almost like a modern day sort of like celebrity who. They feel like they're in a fishbowl and they don't it's everything they thought they wanted, but then they get there and they're not normal, and they got her dad literally made her go in and start banging the king, who was 1,000,000 years older than her years ago, and now here she is in this world where she's like thinking that she was supposed to be doing the power thing right, and she had some moments where she did, and she was kind of ruthless, but at the end of the day she's like, well, actually Rhaenyra and them, like, I don't want to I like them, but like I do kind of want to be in power and be the queen and have the thing and not them, but like I kind of like them. We shouldn't kill them. And she's like in this weird spot now where she's got nobody she could trust, and her kid's a shit show and raping people, and he feels horrible. She feels horrible about that, but she also like wants him to be. It's like she's very much more sympathetic than I expected her to be at this point.
Yeah, you kind of expect her to be just like a power hungry bitch like Cersei, but she's not.
Right.
And wait, so do we think she genuinely believes that he changed his mind, or what do we
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's acting earnestly. So she really believes that the king changed his mind, and you feel for her. I also think she's just a beautiful woman. I'm very, very into her. And
She's beautiful.
No, you're right. She's much more three-dimensional than you thought, and you don't. Both sides, you understand both sides. You understand where Damon and Rhaenyra are coming from, and you understand where Allison is coming from.
I'll tell you who's not three-dimensional, and it's Sir Kristen Cole. That guy's a fucking asshole.
What a lunatic that guy
dude,
is.
he just at
Such a
that
cuck.
initial meeting when they're like King Viserys is dead and everybody's like, you know, depressed, and there's this weird like he changed his mind right at the end, and one guy's like, hey man, I've known Viserys for a pretty long time. He's not known to do that. Sir Kristen Cole killed a guy in a way that I've never seen before. Just shoved his head as hard as he could onto a table and like onto those little egg things that they bring to the meeting, and killed him. And everybody just sat there and he was dead. And it was Sir Kristen Cole he's a piece of shit.
He's such a piece of shit. He's like obsessed with his honor and his code. It's like, dude, no one gives a fuck, man. You
But
fucked
it's
up
ironic because he
years
broke
ago.
it. He also
Right.
broke it worse than anyone's ever broken it before.
And
Right.
also, when he does these things, Allison, who he is indebted to because of these secrets, even Allison's like, this dude's got to calm down. Like, he's doing way too much.
Yeah, he's just like he's a rattled like cuck, basically. Like he had one night with Rhaenyra, and ever since then, because she didn't pick him on the boat, he's like just a loser cuck who's like freaking out on Instagram. Like if modern day, he would be posting like really sad, shitty Instagrams.
Subtweets.
Like, he'd have a restraining order out against him, and it's like,
He's a
dude,
lunatic.
just get over it. You're a hot guy. Go bang somebody else. What's wrong with the guy? And he's just, here we are 10, 15 years later. He's like killing people over the whole thing. Chill out.
So then we got the ending where I cannot pronounce this woman's name, and I've only seen it on Twitter, so I don't know. Rhaenys?
Rhaenys.
All right, so Rhaenys, she's like dressed as a commoner. They're trying to get her out of there, but she decides to go grab her dragon, bursts up through the floor during Aegon's ceremony.
Kool-Aid Man intro.
Kool-Aid Man intro, definitely. And then, you know, the dragon screams at Allison. Allison, fully preparing to be burnt to a crisp. She's like, well, this is it. And then doesn't happen, and she flies away. Now, I did see, because I was thinking about it, after I watched it, my initial gut reaction was, I feel like in the old show, all those people get burnt to a crisp. Or maybe Aegon gets eaten by the dragon and just plucked away, or Allison or somebody. But I was thinking, all right, we're back to the George R. R. Martin situation where he knows what's going on and he's gonna do it the right way. And then I found out that wasn't in the books. That part was not in the books. The part where she bursts through the floor and doesn't kill them. It was something completely different. So now I'm more torn. And I know people probably get annoyed, like, why do you care about the books? Who cares where it goes? You know, if the showrunners want it to be this way, it's going to be that way. But something about that scene made it feel like in the old Thrones, I think somebody dies, if not all of them.
Yeah, I think they're really playing up the woman partnership. And I think that was part of the preview of the show, was there's this conversation between Rhaenys and Rhaenyra where they're basically saying men would rather torch the realm than see a woman on the throne. And I think that's where we're headed. I think is for that alliance. And I think it's going to be more drawn out. I think if she, you know, blasts everybody with her dragon, then it's basically over. Rhaenyra's queen. I think they're going to get a lot more out of it than that.
Yeah,
but it would have been great.
And I think
'Cause we
George
wouldn't have
R.
seen it
Martin-
coming. None of us would have seen it coming.
right. Because what I was thinking about it too, like what Thrones does is it puts you in a position where you are so into these characters and you watch them. You watch Allison do everything. You see the moves that she makes. You see her taking her stockings off for Larys, and then you feel so connected. You're like, this person can't go anywhere. And then they get knocked off. And that usually happens, and it just didn't happen this time around.
I think George R. R. Martin has like a say in these shows, right? And I think he was an executive producer for the last season of Game of Thrones as well. I mean, he definitely knows what's happening, so I think they throw things by him. But I agree agree with you, Trent. Like if it's not written in the original story, it's probably not going to fit to the way that like we really like it, because clearly everything that's been written from the original story is just the best show of all time. And then whenever they go just a little bit off script, something changes. But if you read his like blog post that he posts every like Monday or whatever, he talks about the Sunday football. Do you read these things? He talks about like
He's a Jets fan, right?
He talks about the Jets and Giants. It's hilarious. And then he talks about the performance the night before on House of the Dragon. He said Viserys was so good of an actor. That guy Patty something was such a good actor that he actually played King Viserys better than George R.R. wrote him. He says he wants to go back and rewrite more about the king because of all of the emotions that he unlocked in him when he saw him.
He was a great actor.
He's like, really he went to places I didn't even know like I wanted him to go to. Like the way that like he just humanized him so much.
His plea at the end, which is like, do this for your grandfather who loves you all so very much, was just, that's timeless. That could have been today. You know, that's human emotion.
But yeah, I wonder how he liked that scene if that wasn't in the, because that's a pretty big scene.
It's huge. You knew something was going to happen. It did have that Thrones anxiety where you see what's happening, but you also feel like something else is going to happen, something horrific, and something did happen, but not in the way that it felt Thrones like to me.
I was reading like, imagine getting, you know, you're completely just like hemmed into this ridiculous ceremony that you didn't want to go to if you're one of these just villagers of Westeros, and like everyone's just hurtling you into this room, and then all of a sudden you just get tail whipped by a fucking dragon. Like just the worst Wednesday of all time for just a farmer in Westeros. Like, come on, man, now I'm dead. Like that sucked.
Right. They're like, we don't actually care. Like we're just like, we're living actual lives. These people who live at the highest level and have all the money they've got all this drama. Those people getting crowded into that hall do not care about those things. They're just like, I'm trying to survive, trying to do my best.
They hit that home pretty hard too. Like you finally saw that, like, because all of this shows about like glitz and glamour and armor and dragons and castles, and then you just see millions of people, every actual real person at that point in time. That I know that this wasn't a real point in time, but I think they try and reference like that this was a certain time in history, that everyone's just like covered in dirt and poor and like is barely surviving. Like everyone except for 20 people.
Yeah, and when they announced that the king died, everyone in the crowd was like,
all right, whatever.
Gonna be another par.
Yeah, another par, yeah, whatever.
They couldn't give less of a fuck.
No, and that's like what you get with deep worlds like this. Like I think Star Wars sometimes tries to do it where you obviously know all the main characters in Star Wars, the Darth Vaders, the Luke Skywalkers and all that, but that world is so much deeper when you're not just dealing with, you know, the royal part of it. I think that's really interesting because there is, like you're saying, Frankie, there's just people living in the Game of Thrones world who don't care about the king, don't care about the new king. It's pretty interesting.
One thing that's really different about Thrones, and I think Succession picked up on this and does it as well, is that there's really not many characters in the whole thing in Thrones or in Dragon now that are truly and obviously just good people. Like good, they're just good. Like in Star Wars, there's clearly a good side of good people and a bad side of bad people, and the only conflict is like whether Han Solo wants to take the money and run, but he's not like a bad person. Like that's the biggest negative about him. In Thrones, it's like in original Thrones, it was like Jon Snow was kind of like the only just purely like actually good person that was like trying to constantly do the right thing. Maybe a couple other people. And it's like that in Dragon too. It's like King Viserys was actually at the end of it, like the only character in the whole thing that was truly like a good person trying to do the good and right thing while also juggling all this other bullshit. And it's like that. We've talked about it when Succession's on, where it's like, who is the character that's grounded in like a normal good person that cares about and has the right values that most humans can relate to and should have? And it's like in Dragon, it's nobody now. I mean, that guy's gone. That vacuum is enormous because that guy is gone. And I think to like Martin's point of he wants to rewrite the king almost, because the guy was amongst all that turmoil, he was trying to be such a good righteous person and point the realm in the right direction, and couldn't quite figure out how to do it because there's so many power plays at hand and he was sick and he couldn't handle it. Now that motherfucker's gone, it's like, who is really going to be the good person to steer this thing in the right direction? And I don't know that there is one.
All the great shows do that. They have their characters be three-dimensional. I don't know if any of you have watched The Wire, but The Wire on its face is a cops versus drug dealer show. It's like, oh, I feel like you think it's going to be a procedural, but then they do the thing, and it's just like real life where they show the cops doing bad things, they show the drug dealers doing good things. Like, you get confused on who you're supposed to root for, and I think that's what makes a great show, because that's what life is like.
Yeah, and I think Succession does an incredible job of this, and Game of Thrones does as well, is they make wealth and power look really miserable.
Yeah.
Like Succession, the whole show is shot in these gray and dark hues, and all the apartments, you know that they're these beautiful, incredible apartments that probably overlooks Central Park, but it's always gray inside. The lights are always off. It's the same thing in Game of Thrones, where these people have all this power and they have servants, and all the other peons in the streets are dirty and going to whorehouses, and yet those people are probably much happier and much more content with their lives than the people in power. And I think it's a subtle commentary on how power is really a double-edged sword.
All the best shows do it. I mean, Breaking Bad for sure. Like,
yeah, I was thinking that too.
Teacher, and then like he wants to just continuously get more money and like get more power, and it ends up killing him. And it's
right. Originally,
insane.
Walter White is doing it. He's making money for the right cause. He's like, I'm gonna die. I gotta leave enough money for my family, and then it just goes haywire. But all the great shows do that.
Yeah, it's wild times. Good Sundays. Good Sunday viewing.
And I think the finale's this Sunday. That sucks.
Shit, that was
Is
quick.
it really?
Yeah.
Well, The Crown comes back, I think, like November 4th, so we can watch The Crown.
I'll watch The Crown. They're shooting the Princess Diana stuff now. I think
this will be well, Princess Diana. Yeah, she was in the last season, but I think this is the season where, no spoiler, but I think this is where the Queen, quote, maybe puts her to rest.
Maybe.
Oh, you're talking about Princess Diana's death?
Okay, you're a conspiracy guy on that front.
Yeah, I don't know.
She ordered the hit?
I don't know.
Do your own research.
I don't know. There's just a lot. I'll be interested to see how they portray it. Like, I mean, they obviously portray the fact that they like gave her an eating disorder and like locked her away in her room in this season. Like, they make you feel like they were the worst people of all time, and that they're ruining this poor girl's life who was like forced into this world just because she was like royalty-esque, and I mean, her husband hated her and wanted to marry someone else. So she just happens to die like a couple years later.
She was royalty adjacent. She wasn't in the family, right?
No, she was just she was picked, like,
She was just part of the like high society.
No, she wasn't. She was like living in like a flat with like her 4 roommates and shit. But I'm struggling to remember like where she met.
Was it college or something?
Nah, it was like family something. They introduced them, I believe. I could be completely wrong, but she was more fit for royalty than
Camilla?
Yeah, than Camilla. Camilla was just like a married woman in like the farm fields, and like he would go there and he loved her, but they hated her.
Got it.
So they were like, this girl is what the princess should be like.
Exactly.
Let's make her the princess.
It's exactly what with House of the Dragon's doing.
It's crazy.
You can't marry this guy. He's not from certain blood. She's like, I want to marry this guy. I want to marry my uncle, and you're not letting me.
That's what annoys me when people are like, I can't believe you watch the dragons flying around. I'm like, it's pretty much based on shit that's happened. Like, it's not any different. We've equated it to shit that happens now to shit that happened 2,000 years ago. Like, really not that different.
It's not.
They just have dragons, but like,
right. And the dragons are
for other shit.
The dragons.
I mean, Prince Charles is literally like Rhaenyra. Like, he like wanted to marry the love of his life, and they're like, no, we don't approve. And they're like, here's this girl Diana that you have to marry. And he's like, okay, all right, okay. Our life's gonna suck. Like, they wouldn't even look at each other. They wouldn't even go home. It's crazy. And then she died. So a lot. It's Game of Thrones. It is fucking Game of Thrones. That's why I find the royal family to be incredibly interesting. They're gonna. Is it coronate? Is that the coronation of the king? Mm-hmm. They're gonna coronate. They're gonna put a crown on a king's head like sometime next year, and it's gonna be the craziest visual of all time. It's gonna feel like we're watching real Game of Thrones. Guy's gonna walk up these stairs, and they're gonna fucking put a crown on his head. He's gonna sit at this chair, and just everyone's gonna go crazy, bananas.
All right, moving on. 2K. We got to talk about video games, 2K. We're in the video game. I don't know if we made that clear in the last show, but we are in PGA Tour 2K23. It's out. You should get that puppy. The last game, phenomenal, realistic, so many different courses. You got to truly grind your way through. You got to have a real golf swing. It's not just arcade, it's golf. It's just like going through a golf round, the ups, the downs. Your swing gets a little bit out of sync. It's incredibly fun to play. They got Divot Derby. They got all kinds of different options. This podcast right here is obsessed with PGA Tour 2K21 and now obsessed with PGA Tour 2K23.
It's the best video game of all time. I can't
We're
wait to
not in
start
the game
streaming
yet,
it.
just a few months, but
Yeah, in a
I'm
few
excited.
months we will be. You have to get the game now. You got to get good. We're playing the Society. I've gotten a bunch of DMs saying that the PS5 one is not ready on the Society. I'll fix that today. I'm not sure why it didn't go. Maybe because I did it on PS4. I'll figure that out. Trent, I'll come to your apartment. I'll get your TV all squared away. We have to start streaming.
I might be doing something different with the TV thing. So you might not be. I might do one of the smaller ones instead of the bigger one. I was talking to our video game guy Alex Bush, and he said that maybe a smaller one would be better. But so I might
smaller is better. I hook it up to a TV. I went and got a monitor. This like Alienware monitor. It's a fucking gaming monitor. It's like the best resolution ever. It makes the games look insane, but it's right here in front of your face. You find that playing video games is actually better when you're right in front of it.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to do that. I'll do one of the smaller ones.
So that'll be fun. I got to go to a chiropractor today because I threw something out in my back, fellas. I just got to get that thing popped. I played golf yesterday, like trying to get through it, and it's like I just got to get this thing popped.
How did you play and how did Francis play?
I'll talk about that in a little bit because it was bad. It was really bad. It was probably the worst round of golf I've played. But I do want to, because it's one of the worst rounds I've played, that's why I go to the virtual world for PGA Tour 2K23.
It's a good answer. You can buy PGA Tour 2K23 today at pgatour.2k.com. That's PGA Tour 2K23. More golf, more game. Go to pgatour.2k.com. Go buy PGA Tour 2K23 today. We love it. Tiger Woods is in there, and he's great, and we're going to be in there very soon. And we're not great, but we're in the game, and you can play with us coming up soon. So get the game. Mm-hmm. You guys didn't play great, Frankie?
Well, I was going to say Deepdale has some greens that are so unrealistic that like PGA Tour 2K23 is so much more realistic and easy than the actual Deepdale greens. I think I can't get – hold on. Excuse me, guys.
You got something in your throat there.
Let me clear my throat. All right, so yeah, we played Deepdale. It's an amazing golf course. It's like one of the more exclusive courses you can ever play. The guys there are incredible, and I got to give a hand to the fucking super there. Chad just has that place so dialed in that I honestly think that if Kevin Kisner played there tomorrow, just like showed up, I think he'd think that place is too hard. Like he'd be like, I can't play this golf course. It's way too difficult. It's the most difficult golf course I've ever played in my life because it's only on the green. The 8th hole at Deepdale is unplayable. It's unplayable.
It's uphill.
It's uphill, but the green. So the pin was in the middle front.
Does a hole turn left a little bit?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Slightly dogleg left. It's easy to hit the fairway, very easy to hit the green. Once you're on the green, the caddy looks at you and says, if you don't make this putt, if you're behind the pin, if you don't make this putt, it's gone. You have to make it, even if you breathe on it. We did a test where we just put the ball down on the low side of the hole, and like we just dropped it an inch off the ground. It rolled to 75 yards away. 75 yards. So I had a putt going up the hill, and I blow it by to like 3.5 feet. And then I tap the ball coming back 75 yards away. 75 yards. Because I pushed. I'm telling you, this ball rimmed out. It lipped out. So now it's like, what are we doing here? What is this game we're playing? You know what I mean? It's not even golf. It's like, don't fall off the cliff. It's a different sport. There's nothing that's anything that you've ever done before that. And you can't stop the ball. There is no way. There's no way. Like the caddy's like, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
Goodbye.
The ball's gone. You can't stop it. We ask him, where can we put this putt to get this ball to stop? Because there is none. There's none. So why is that a sport? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It makes you want to quit the game. I shot a 90 yesterday, and I got congratulated by every person in the group for how well I played. That's how hard this golf course was.
What did Francis shoot?
I think he shot like 101. My buddy Kyle shot like 100 and whatever, 99 or something like that.
Isn't Francis like a 5 index?
Francis is
index?
really good. He strikes the ball incredibly well. He couldn't break 100. The place is impossible.
Can't get the ball in the hole.
Bro, making a par there feels like an eagle. Like when you finally 2-putt, or if like you make like if you get on in 3 and 1-putt, you're like, what did I just do?
Did they know how fast they were running? Did they have them in a stimp at all?
Yeah, I think it's like pretty common, like a 13, 14, but they're so firm.
They're firm and they're super undulated. I played there
like
in
man.
May or June, and it was super playable. It must be like now because it's October and the greens are getting firm. Because when I played there, the greens were fast and stuff, but they kept on being like, just imagine if you were here in October. Just wait for October.
Yeah,
so you got it with its teeth out.
I just don't think they could have had a tournament there. Like, I think people would have thought it was like Mickey Mouse. Like, we can't. Because I was trying to picture when we played at TPC Twin Cities, those greens were professional PGA Tour greens. We played the day before the 3M tournament. And we were like, these greens are just playable. They're extremely pure. There's nothing crazy to them. You can see how a guy like Scotty Scheffler comes out here and drains like 35 footers and like never misses putts. And like, as long as you have the right speed and pace and like you're just a professional golfer, you can make these putts. I don't think professional golfers would have been able to make putts yesterday. I don't think so. I think it was way too like otherworldly. I've never seen anything like it. It was like playing on glass, like we were playing on a window pane.
And that's when we had the discussion a few months ago about like super fast greens basically being overrated. It was the same when you played Deepdale and it was ridiculous. And it depends on the green complexes. People were confusing that or conflating that with us being like, we don't like fast greens. We love fast greens. We don't believe in necessarily, in like preposterously fast greens just to satisfy and tell people that you have the fastest greens in the world. Because if you have greens designed like Deepdale, they're not probably supposed to be faster than an 11 or whatever the hell it is. And when they were actually
designed to be like a 7.
When they were built, they were literally supposed to be like a 7. There's an image that goes around occasionally that has the average green speeds from like the top 10 clubs in the country in like the 70s or something. And Oakmont was the fastest at like a 7.5 or an 8 or something like that. Like literally now you're talking about 13s. And if you haven't changed the complexes of the greens, it starts to get preposterous where you literally can't be on the wrong tier and keep the ball on the green. And like you're saying, Frankie, if you're above the hole, I get that if you're above the hole, it should be way harder to make it. And it should be in certain instances on certain diabolical greens. If you're in a certain spot, it should be really hard to get it close, or maybe you can't get it within 5 feet or something like that. You have a 6-footer coming up the hill. It shouldn't be that if you're above the hole, you literally either has to hit the back of the hole and go in, or it rolls off and falls front 75 yards away. That is just stupid. Anybody that disagrees with that, you can't even have a rational argument with a human being around that. And they don't understand the evolution of how everything got here. It's like those greens were built 100 years ago to literally run at a 5, and now they're running at a 13. Cool. We have like agriculture is caught up in like agronomy, and you can like, but at the end of the day, a 13 versus that, like you're saying, if you put a PGA Tour player out there, they would probably be fucking pissed if that was a tournament.
Well, the best part of this was, so we had a threesome, and all three of us, it ended up with us just having
You guys had a threesome?
We had a threesome. We had every single guy had to get their ball caught by Eddie. So we putt off, then we chipped back on, went back to our feet, we chipped back on, then we were all on the high side of the hole, and then Eddie had to catch the ball because we're done. We ended up taking 8s, and it's over. The hole's done. All three of us couldn't get the ball in the hole, or stay on the green. So now we're arguing with Eddie. Eddie was our caddy, and Eddie had this like attitude to him, and he ended up being like a legend because this guy was so serious. And in the beginning of the day, it felt like if we didn't listen to his like point of view or his suggestion, that he was actually rooting against us. I actually said this to him at one point. I'm like, Eddie, if I take a driver here, are you hoping I hit a bad shot? Because that's the vibe we were getting, where he's like, if you don't hit a hybrid here, you guys are fucked. I'm like, well, what if I just hit a better shot with my driver? He's like, nope. And I said, well, I'm gonna hit a driver here, and if it ends up in a good spot, are you gonna be mad? Yes. And he just like walked away and went into the fairway. So Eddie was a character. But so we're kind of giving it to him all day, and like he's like getting like on our nerves a couple times, and we're getting on his nerves, and we're like not listening to him because the greens are fucking outrageous. But the guy knew the greens like the back of his hand, and he would say some of these things like, you have to putt behind you and it has to come back. And we're like, no, Eddie, like we're going towards the hole. He's like, I'm telling you. So on 8, we're freaking out. We're literally laughing at this golf course on this hole at this point. We're like, how is this a hole? Eddie goes to this part where Francis was, because Francis blew it to 100 yards away. And Francis is like, how is that the line, Eddie? He's like, there's no place to hold this ball. So Eddie's like, you got to make it. Eddie he takes the putter and hits this ball to the exact spot that he was telling Francis to hit it to, and it went right in the middle of the hole with a lot of pace, but he drained it, dude. It hit the back of the cup and went in.
Yeah. Eddie's revenge.
Dying. Bro, when he hit the putt, he just started walking towards the hole. And I'm talking, he hit this thing sideways, and it had to trickle down, gain speed, hit the center of the cup, and fell in. We're like, holy shit. So the rest of the day, he's like, I told you, motherfuckers, you should have been listening to me for the last 2 hours. Like, holy fuck.
What
Eddie.
a moment for Eddie. Like, that is just the rest of the day he could shove that down your guys'
100%. I said that to him, like, how big is your fucking cock right now? Like, how like, you're dragging it on the floor. I could see the leaves moving as you're walking. So I got him in. I did a 4-play verse yesterday. I got him in it. You could see how intense he was on the 18th hole, being like, we're hitting this green, we're getting it on the top tier, we're putting this thing down. It's like he was so dialed in. It was so funny.
That's like that Nicholas Johnny Miller clip. That clip is
100%. It's exactly it.
Unbelievable if you haven't seen it.
It's the best. It's as good as it gets. Just like CrossCountry Mortgage, the best. As good as it gets. Oh my God,
just as good of a
what's your boy's name? Devin?
Chris Devin, man, hockey
Chris
guy.
Devin.
The guy he has a hockey goal.
Hockey.
He's a goalie. He has a goalie mask that is all Barstool and CrossCountry Mortgage themed. It's like the coolest goalie mask of all time. It's got a big stool on it. It's got the CrossCountry Mortgage logo on it. He's got these pads. His dream is to like play in the Chicklets like roller hockey tournament. He's like, well, he wants to play as a goalie and get a CrossCountry Mortgage team going.
Not
so
the
he's
most
the man.
inspiring dream I've ever heard of in my life.
I know, but he's a hockey guy. He wants to be in the mix. The guy's he listens to the golf podcast. Yeah, he's the best.
CrossCountry Mortgage is the best. Innovative technology focuses on what's important to fulfill your loan needs, provide more loan options tailored to your financial capabilities, much faster closing times than the competition, stable monthly payments, and low to no down payments. Access your equity to use for larger expenses, much like home renovations. We love home renovations. Shout out to HGTV. See if you qualify today. Visit ccm.com/barstool now. CrossCountry Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Please visit ccm.com/barstool now. Go check out a home. Checking out homes is really fun. Really, really fun. Somebody made the comment last night. They're like, yeah, you folks from New York just aren't home people. And I was like, that's true. Most people, like when you live in New York City or you did the whole tri-state area thing or Manhattan thing, you're just not used to having a home or looking at a home. Whereas back home in St. Louis, every person I met by the time they were like 25 was in the home buying experience. And now here I'm 35 and it's a pretty foreign process until recently. So CrossCountry Mortgage is going to help you out no matter what stage you're at. ccm.com/barstool.
Sometimes I just go on Zillow and I just pick a random spot and I just look at houses.
It's fun.
It is really fun. Montana's got some great houses.
You thinking about moving to a house?
No. Well, not in the near future, but I like looking at houses. For whatever reason.
Just a hobby. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, Montana's got some great ones. Utah's got some great ones.
Definitely.
Just a lot of places to live.
Tons.
One of my favorite apps to just scroll through. It feels healthier, too, than like Instagram and all the bullshit. You're just scrolling through, looking at homes, and you start to envision what you could potentially do with it. How, it's interesting.
I deleted everything because I got a home and I couldn't look at like what you could have gotten in other states and stuff. That's the start. Yeah.
I love a Victorian style home. I think those are beautiful. I really love those.
I gotta have you drive through Garden City. You gotta look at all those homes. It's insane. They're just like legit. It's like Victorian after Victorian after Victorian. It's like the most beautiful town on Long Island when it comes to Victorian houses.
What is it again?
Garden City.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's right by Cherry Valley. Like there's all these streets right by Cherry Valley and Rockville Link's kind of like in that area. All old school, 150-year-old homes.
Oh, I love those.
Is the house in the Watcher a Victorian house?
No,
maybe.
I don't know. I mean, that's such a fucking mansion. I picture a Victorian house like the ones I'm picturing in Garden City have like that like this shape to it. Like you know what I mean? It's like brick and cement all like everything's very. It almost looks like a Hobbit's house but big. You know what I mean? Is that what you're picturing?
I follow a couple of Victorian house Instagram accounts actually.
That's incredible.
I'll pull one up right now. Like this is
The ones I'm looking at have really good porch situations too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big porches. Like this is, I mean, people on YouTube are going to be able to see this.
Yeah.
They're just old school, man. I love the look of those houses.
Yeah.
Some of them have castle-like features.
I took
a dumbwaiter.
Super nice, man.
I took a course in college. It was called like Roman architecture, and it was fucking fascinating. I took it because it was just basically we were told that the professor was really nice and easy and like friendly to athletes, and we took it. probably my favorite course I took the entire time, because they go through, you don't realize how sort of, especially even back in that time, like there were just only, 3 or a handful of style of columns, like a Corinthian column that just everybody used. And like because one, culture had figured it out, and then all the other cultures that came and eventually won a war or something against them were like, well, we're just going to do what they did. They seem to build buildings pretty well. And then that's just how buildings were built forever. And if somebody introduced a new one, like the arches or like a new type of column, it was like, they would just steal that. And then when the Roman Empire would like win, a battle in Spain, take over Spain, they would just like take everything from there and bring it back to Rome. And that's how architectural features in different places kind of like transferred into different societies and took over different societies, because they would just defeat people in battle, look at their city and be like, that's pretty cool. And
like
they would
that
just
one.
take it back. It was really, really interesting. It was great. All right. A couple more talking points that we didn't get to that I would like to get to. Jon Rahm's comments on Phil Mickelson. We like drama on this show. There's obviously drama behind this because they share the same agency. Jon Rahm's agent is Phil Mickelson, was like Phil Mickelson's brother, or is Phil Mickelson's brother. Is that right?
Was when he first turned pro.
Was his coach at ASU. Phil's like an ASU guy. The whole backstory, the two of them. He's commented about how Phil's his mentor. And now here we're in a position where Jon Rahm responded at the CJ Cup presser Tuesday to Phil Mickelson's comments, of which we discussed on the last show. And he said, man, I love Phil, but I don't know what he's talking about. I just really don't know why he said that. There's been some changes being made, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going down, right? In terms of talking about the tour going down. Truly don't know why he said that. I really just don't know. I think there's some great changes being made and great changes for the players on the tour. I don't know why he said something like that. So even Rahm kind of calling Phil out on his bullshit just seems of note.
There's just been a shift in the messaging from Liv, it seems.
Yeah.
It's a little more combative now.
Yes. Yeah. And Phil is obviously the number one voice for that. And yeah, Jon Rahm is like, I'm confused by these. Like, why is it so combative and aggressive? There's just been some sort of change.
I think it's frustration. I think it's frustration that they haven't, the other governing bodies haven't kowtowed to them yet, that they haven't gotten their way, and they're freaking out a little bit.
It's also it's the same with the major stuff that we talked about before. It's just if they can't get what they want, they're going to get what they want. Like if you don't give them what they want the nice way, they're definitely going to get what they want their way.
And then
It
is well put. Another little note that just came out is the PGA Tour announced 4 more elevated events. Which
John Deere Classic, baby, we made it. We did it. Congratulations to the John Deere Classic they made it, right?
No.
Nope. So it's a bummer. It's a shame, Trent. I'm really bummed out, but it's still a tournament, right? They're not going to eliminate the event forever.
Still a tournament.
Is that right?
The more the other events get elevated, the more decreased in elevation goes the John Deere Classic. Because I mean,
we're the underdog.
It's like it's losing value as every other tournament gets more value, and then they're just saying the John Deere stays where it is plus Live. John Deere's lost value over the last year.
Right? Wasn't Live this year like, yeah, we're not going to go up against any PGA Tour events, but like the John Deere Classic week, we're gonna do a tournament.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. They went against the weaker ones. I'm a little surprised that none of them are outside the U.S. of the elevated ones.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
It feels like a bit of a miss. Like Live is trying to brand this as we're the global tour.
Let's say what the new ones are. So we've got the Waste Management Phoenix Open, RBC Heritage, Wells Fargo Championship, Travelers Championship. They will join the 3 FedEx Cup events, and then also the Genesis, the Arnold Palmer, the Memorial. Of note, those 3 all have and are basically hosted by the biggest 3 golfers in the history of golf: Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer Invitational, obviously, and the Memorial is Jack Nicklaus. And then the WGC Match Play, which everybody loves in Austin, the Kevin Kisner Match Play, some people call that. And then the Century Tournament of Champions, which is an interesting one that's up there as well. But Waste Management Phoenix Open, fun to note that now that puppy's going to have the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Phoenix Open, and it's going to have the top players on planet Earth are all going to be there that week.
Right, and that's awesome. And for these tournaments, it's great. I'm not really surprised. RBC is a huge sponsor of the tour. They have 2 tournaments. They do the RBC Canadian Open. They do the RBC Heritage. Travelers has really turned that tournament into kind of like an afterthought, into a thing that draws a lot of top players. I am surprised that there's no events outside the United States, because Liv has been doing this like we're the global tour. We're not just the US tour. And that appeals to a lot of people who have seen the balance of professional golf sway so powerfully in the United States' direction, where all the best players live in the United States and play in the United States. Now you have these 13 elevated events and they're all in the US. Just a little surprising to me.
Where would you have gone?
Asia. I was surprised. I thought Zozo was going to become one.
I think that's tough because it's really hard to basically mandate the top players to fly all the way to Asia for an event.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely reasons why not, but I thought that the PGA Tour was going to try to be more global. That was a mission that they had stated, right? There was initially this plan for these fall events, international series events. Don't think that's happening anymore because of these elevated events. So instead of going the global route, they've doubled down on having really, really big tournaments here in the United States. It's an interesting choice.
Do you think a lot of it was? Do you think the tour wanted to, but the players pushed back on that?
It's definitely possible. And I was going to say this with the Rahm stuff, because remember when Rahm was talking a couple weeks ago, he was saying 20 events around the world. It sounds like a lot, blah, blah, blah. And then he was much more pro PGA Tour yesterday, where he was saying, I think these are great changes. I'm really excited about what's happening. So I think you might be right. I think what's best for the tour would probably be, let's have one in Japan and let's have one in Australia and let's have one. But the players don't want to do that. They don't want to sign up for that. It's a good point, Riggs.
To be clear, I believe the elevated event means they'll all feature $20 million purses. Tournament of Champions will be $15 million, but that's the one that only has the winners from last year, so it's less people. $20 million purses, and there'll be mandatory starts for the top 20 players in the tour's $100 million player impact program. So if you want
so
any
it's not
PIP
necessarily
action,
the top 20. It's not necessarily the top 20 golfers. It's top 20 PIP finishers.
So if you want to be eligible for PIP, basically, and you're in the top 20, you gotta be there. Is that essentially how it works?
Yeah, if you're Max Homa, you're playing in all of them.
You have to.
You have to, and that's different. That's your schedule now. Those events are penned in, and then you decide what else fits besides that. But those are now no-brainers. It's like what the WGCs used to be. Like you show up, there's free money, a lot of points, you do it. This is what that is now.
How many of those are there going to be?
13.
13. So those are 13 plus the majors. You're 17.
No, I think the majors is included in that.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's now you're looking at, like you said, that
was so Mike Francesa.
I was thinking the same thing. Like when he counts the bowl games.
Oh my god! All right, we got
it was
1,
good.
2, 3.
There's so many bowl games now. Let's see how many there are. I think he gets up to
5,
like 60. And
yeah,
it's like,
6, 7, 9.
Number 1, baby.
11, 12. He literally has a clip out there where he counts to like 110. 30, 31, 32. Oh my God, 33. So good. There's another clip. Funhouse is, I think, a Twitter account that just puts out. He puts out all Mike Francesa clips, and I'm obsessed with Mike Francesa. I grew up with Mike and the Mad Dog, and I can't stop watching some of these clips. But one of them is that Mike Francesa just every week talks about how fast the NFL schedule is moving. And it is one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. So he literally goes week by week. He goes, all right, it's the Mike Francesa show. It's week 2. And can you believe it? We're already in week 2. You know, sooner or later, it's going to be week 8 and we're going to be working on playoff. And then the next show, he's like, all right, it's the Mike Francesa show. And wouldn't you believe it? It's already week 3. Oh my God, this thing is flying. And then it's like week 4. He goes, it's week 4 already, guys. It's going to be week 16. It's literally every week he talks about how fast the schedule is going. But if you think about it, it's like, no, dude, it's just going week by week. And you keep talking about how fast it's going. It's actually going slow.
It's like that montage of the teacher walking in every day, like, hey,
exactly.
Hey, different outfits. Hey,
I'm going to send this to you guys. It's so good.
No, Francesa is, I mean, I didn't grow up listening to him or anything like that, but I became aware of him because of Funhouse and mostly because of KFC, because KFC would always talk about him. And he is quite an interesting fella.
And then we got the CJ Cup this week at Congaree Golf Club in South Carolina. That was the host of last year. It was a different tournament last year, right?
Palmetto Championship.
That's what it was called last year?
Yeah, it took the place of the Canadian Open.
Oh, gotcha. Because they weren't traveling.
Really cool golf course. Really in a rough part of the country, though. I've been to, I think Jackson County, South Carolina, where it is I think the poorest county in the U.S. So they have this. The golf course is incredible. They have this incredibly philanthropic mission where they take local kids and they educate them and put them through college. It's a really cool club. But drive 5 miles outside. I remember driving there. I stayed in Savannah, Georgia, and I remember driving there, and it was like hard to believe it's America. If you guys have been to any of those places in the South where it's like serious poverty, it's rough.
I remember seeing little like video essays and stuff about the philanthropic mission of the club and the whole reason it was built and everything they do, and it was really, really cool. So they're back this year at Congaree for a different tournament, which is the CJ Cup. Rory is the defending CJ Cup champion, but that was in Vegas last year where he won that.
That was
right?
at where Morikawa plays, Summit Club. Yep.
And then Garrick Higo won last year, the only PGA Tour tournament held at Congaree, but he did not qualify for this year's CJ Cup. So he isn't even there. The defending champion doesn't really matter. But we have the best field of the fall. We got Rory, Scotty, Fitz, Rahm, Sungjae, Max Homa's playing, Sam Burns is playing. Tom Kim's playing. I took a friend of the program. I took of note that I'm liking that Max Homa has now finally reached the level where he's basically a featured group every time. He's with Jordan Spieth and Hideki Matsuyama. Love that for Max Homa because a lot of times he would get buried. He was sort of like the Kisner where everybody liked him. He's popular, but you couldn't really watch him play golf unless he's leading the golf tournament. Now we're going to get to see a lot of Max Homa, it feels like, for at least the next several years. He's bought himself some good featured group capital.
Yeah, he's gone mainstream. He's the trendy alternative band who is now like the Killers.
Yeah,
I saw Tom Kim's playing with Rory and somebody else. He's moved up there too.
Oh, the PGA Tour is all in on Tom Kim. I saw a video of them. They posted a video of him when he had just landed in Japan, and it was literally just him rolling his bag in the airport. That was it. That was the whole video. So they're definitely all in on promoting Tom Kim.
Oh yeah, it's Rory, Tom Kim,
paparazzi.
and Ricky Fowler. So that's a big group.
That's a big one. So I'm excited to watch that. Congaree, too. I'm excited to tune in and check out a good amount of that action. We got a good field and a good golf course. All right. We got From the Gallery. We got a couple quick From the Galleries to get to, brought to you by Truly Hard Seltzer. As you know, trulyhardseltzer.com. They got over 30 flavors. They're delicious. They're fantastic. They're good for you. They've got under 110 calories, so that's good. They got 1 gram of sugar. That's good. They got naturally gluten-free. That's good. And you can find them at trulyhardseltzer.com. Title sponsor of the Barstool Classic, 4 years running since the inception, since the very beginning of the event. They're delicious and you can get all kinds of different flavors now for different occasions. It's getting a little chillier. You can obviously tweak which one you like because you got so many different options over 30. So big thanks to Truly Hard Seltzer. We'll see them in Scottsdale next month for the Barstool Classic Championship at Greyhawk Golf Club. So big thanks to Truly. They present to you From the Gallery. Adam says, you guys have had some amazing trips coming off the back of Big Cedar Lodge. Is there still a top place on the bucket list for a future travel series? And I would like to say my answer is extremely obvious or extremely stands above the rest in my own mind, which is Ireland. I've never been to Ireland.
Oh, I was going to say Ireland. I've never
want to go to fucking Ireland. Never been there.
I've been to Northern Ireland. I played some golf in Northern Ireland. Been to Scotland. Been to England. Never been to Ireland. I would love to go. Let's make it happen next year.
Just looking at Instagram stories of my buddy Andrew, who is in Ireland right now. Just got there, and I'm like looking at all the architecture. They're in their hotel. They're drinking Guinnesses, and they're just. It's very gloomy and gray, and everything about it's just Ireland. They're probably gonna see some sheep. I do fear that it'll be a little similar to Scotland. You guys don't think that it'll? No,
I think it's more cliffy. I think it's more greener. I think it's a different terrain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean,
too,
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
The style, I think, is probably pretty similar in terms of the style of golf.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go somewhere just as random as possible. Like, I'd like to go see you probably can't do it, but like, I'd like to see what Chinese golf looks like in just like rural China. What does that golf look like? Or Japan? Like we
should go visit our boys in, what was it, Chile or where was
Colombia?
That's something I wanted to bring up to you guys. We always do all our meetings on podcasts, but I talked to those guys yesterday. As weird as that is that you just brought that up. So they have that Instagram account like Ole or something like that. Ole.
Oh, it's 3 letters, right?
OPC. Yeah, One Putt Colombia, Team OPC. Mm-hmm. Basically, they said that there's like this pro-am in the Caribbean coast of Colombia in December. I was like, we probably won't be able to make it, but they were really, really selling this thing. 5-star hotel, unlimited luxury. We're going to send you guys out here. We'll play with you, the whole thing. I'm like, listen,
unlimited luxury,
they wrote. I said, we probably won't be able to make that, but what we will do is we're coming to Colombia next year. I think we go to Colombia and play with these guys. We're playing with 4 local guys that are obsessed with foreplay. They can take us to all their little places that they like to go to, like we would if they came to Long Island. I'd be taking them to Borelli's. They're going to take us to their version of Borelli's. I want to fucking do it, man. I want to see what these golf courses look like. I think it'd be hilarious to do like scramble versus scramble one day, and we do like a legit Ryder Cup against these Colombian foreplay guys.
Dude, it would be great because it would be so out of left field that people be like, what is this? Like we go to Big Cedar, we go to Bandon, we go to all these places that is more accessible to people in the States. And then we just throw Colombia in their face. And it's just like, that would be just walking around would be so interesting.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in.
We're setting it up this month for next. Like we're doing it next year. We're going to Colombia. It's gonna be freaking awesome. I'm gonna message them tonight and be like, "This is happening. Let's set it up." Ryder Cup.
I'll go to Colombia. I'll ask. Are we gonna get into some extracurriculars if we go to Colombia?
I don't know. Yeah,
I was just thinking that, Riggs.
I'm of the firm believer.
National sport.
I'm the firm believer that I can't take any PEDs when it comes to like brain stuff because I'm already as fucked up as it is. If I I don't do any. Yeah, maybe. We
talking about coffee?
Yeah, really dank.
I know
coffee.
They got great beans down there.
Yeah, it gets you really jittery.
Yeah,
they got great beans down there.
You go skiing.
Yeah, I mean, when in Rome, we got
exactly.
Are we trying to
disrespect the memory of Pablo?
We'll go in the winter and go skiing for sure.
We trying to take in culture? Or are we not trying to take in culture?
Yeah, exactly. We trying to ingratiate ourselves with the locals.
No, but for real though, my heart will explode. So I just need to play golf and see the scenery.
Dude, we're going to Colombia and we're gonna eat fucking incredible food. I don't even know where Colombia is. I mean, I know where it is, but it's like he says it's the coastline, so I'm sure there's beautiful golf courses on the water in Colombia. The coast of Colombia's got to be the most beautiful place on the planet, right?
There's a place in Colombia that like the rich foreign kids from Northwestern used to go vacation at, and I can't remember the name. I'm going to look it up.
How long of a flight is it to Colombia?
I don't know.
Probably pretty far.
But that would be that's a really interesting idea.
I have no idea.
I'm in. I'll go to Colombia. I'm excited to go to Colombia. I had some buddies did a buddies trip to Colombia like 10 years ago.
Cartagena. That's like a party vacation spot. Yeah, that's the capital city.
Right in the middle. That's right in the middle from what I'm seeing. Maybe northern Colombia.
Go full Billy Walsh.
Way northern Colombia is incredible. Yeah. Cartagena,
I think that's the spot.
Cartagena. You say it like an American.
That can't be that long of a...
Oh, dude, it's not far. It's not far at all.
Barranquilla.
Like if you fly JFK to Colombia, I bet it's 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. Yeah,
it's probably going to LA.
Dude.
We're in. You'll probably see another golf podcast go to Colombia like next month because we talked about this. But we're going to Colombia. We're going to Colombia. We're going. We're absolutely going. And we got the One Putt Colombia guys that we're going to do it with. I've already set it in stone because we said it on the podcast. I mean, on Google Maps, when you just go down this coastline of Colombia, it's just, you could just tell. Like, there's like mountains on the coastline. This place is going to be fucking insane.
Dude, it's not that far from the, I didn't realize it borders Panama. And we could go, I'd like to see the Panama Canal. See if they unclog that fucking thing,
That'd be great.
Caribbean Sea. It's right on the Caribbean Sea.
Look at
the
this
Panama Canal is right there.
Holy shit. What a fucking canal they put in there. That's a different part of the world, boys. Never thought. Yeah, I'm in. That'd be fun. It'd be really fun. All right. Anybody got anything else? Anybody got anything pressing they need to get off their chest there?
Just that it's really, we only have like a week left of golf weather here in the New York State, and it's really starting to bum me out.
It's getting cold.
I was thinking about playing first thing tomorrow morning and got a text from my buddy this morning saying it's going to be 34 degrees at the time of tee off. Like, come on.
No thanks. Too cold.
It's rough.
I don't really have anything, no. Gonna go to chiropractor. Got the Yankees tonight.
I can't believe they're playing back-to-back nights after an elimination game.
It's because they got 2 games rained out this series, so like it just got pushed.
Yeah, it just felt like you give them at least a day. But
I know Verlander against a tired, hungover Yankees team. But
yeah, I saw them I saw some videos of them like popping champagne pretty aggressively. Didn't know how I felt about that.
I mean, I've always, I don't know how to take that. I mean, you try and say that it, like the funnest part of the entire thing is the drive to the championship, the ride there. So it's like, why not celebrate it? I know it's like act like you've been there before, but all these guys haven't been there before, and the Yankees haven't won since 2009. So like, why not just celebrate every accomplishment you have?
I was totally cool with them celebrating it. I'm saying they have a game tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I just saw people shitting on them, being like, "You're the Yankees," like act like you've been there before. It's like not one of these players have been there before.
Baseball is interesting in that they do celebrate hard after each round. which is unlike most sports.
Yeah, it's a 162 game season, and then the playoffs are so difficult. Like 162 game season, then they give you a 3-game wild card just to get in. So 162 games to 3 games is insane just to get into the playoffs. And then the first series, the ALDS, is a best of 5. Like, you don't even get to utilize why your team is good in the playoffs. Like the Mets, I hate the Mets, but their big thing in the season was their depth of pitching. And then all of a sudden they play in like this wild card game, and I know they blew it in September, but you don't even get to like put those guys on the roster because the playoffs are so small. It's a 3-game series. You're like your 4th and 5th pitcher that like got you to the playoffs. That's why you're better than the teams in your division. Aren't even a factor anymore. They're not even on the roster. It's literally just like one pitcher versus another pitcher, and whoever wins that game wins the series.
The ALDS should be 7 games for
ALDS
sure.
is 5 games, and then now all of a sudden we're in the championship series of a 162 game season. The Yankees and the Astros are playing each other. Now it's 7 games, first time of all year. It's crazy.
It does feel like if they're going to have a season that's twice as long as the hockey season, like their playoff series should be twice as long. Like make them like
shorter.
a best of 11 or something. It's like if that's if that's how you're going to do it, it's really bizarre that they do it.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The whole scheduling with baseball is insane. The fact that the most important part of baseball is played in like 30-degree New York weather is going to be just the biggest joke of all time. Like, why are we starting the season so late? Start the season earlier. Start the season in like February. Start spring training in February, and let's get like balls in the air like late, like I don't know, March.
Well, what they should do is chop off 20 games from the regular season.
I said that too, but I think they're too far along. Like you can't take 20 games away from like the Pittsburgh Pirates, where like they had like now all of a sudden their stadium's not making that money, and like the Miami Marlins, like it's just too far gone. You just can't take 20 games away from stadiums.
What you got to hopefully do is if you cut 20 games, then the profit share for the playoffs becomes like, because we're gonna have more playoff games where the league is gonna make more money, and therefore the Pittsburgh Pirates of the world are still gonna make money despite not getting that gate.
You businessman, Tran, you can go right into
It's a great point.
office.
Also, you would think that the games that they have are more sold out. Like I'm trying to think of like the lower tier teams in the league. How would they agree to take less games away?
You've been reading something?
It's like the revenue share if we get the playoffs and get a gate price.
That's a really good point.
No, it's something they got to think about. I don't know if they're thinking about it. And then there's the whole.
I liked it.
Thank you.
That's good shit.
And then there's the whole records argument. I don't know, but they just got to cut games off the regular.
It does seem like if you're playing 162 games, you could just play 130 and have this. I mean, at that point where you know who the best, right? Like I get that everybody's argument would be like, well, like teams blow it in the last 10 games. Well, they'd blow it in the last 10 games in 130 game season.
Right.
Like you get the point after 130 games.
But I mean,
it would be different. Like the Mets would have won the division by 30 games if it ended 100. You know what I mean? They just.
And what I meant by records was if you do that, Aaron Judge is not the AL home run king. Like that's where it gets a little sticky.
Yeah, but they did that with Roger Maris and Babe Ruth. He played more games. That's why there was an asterisk next to Roger Maris. So,
things got to change at some point, or you're just gonna be baseball, and it's gonna be less popular nationally.
Yeah, when Roger Maris was doing it, they're like, "This is not fair. He's beating Babe Ruth, and you're giving him more games to do it."
Right.
This would be the opposite way.
Right.
All right, boys. Well, nice talking to you. Fun catching up. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week
in person.
I think I'm going to be at a watch party on tonight when this video comes out. I think we're doing. I don't want to say for sure because they haven't announced it yet. But by the time this podcast comes out, I believe we're doing a watch party in New York City, so you can come see me watch the Yankees if you're in town. If you're in
for game 2?
For game 2. I'm 99% sure we're doing it. So go look on social media. Go look at the short porch for the Yankees guys. Tommy Smokes, Hubs, Marty Mush. I'm pretty sure I'll be there watching a game at a bar.
The way Marty Mush says Guardians is...
The Guardians.
Like, we got one game in, it's against the Guardians.
All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe. Be smart. We'll see you on Tuesday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.